Chapter 1400. There were only 9 arrays in total, implying that they would last forever. When they left the array, all the arrays disappeared and returned to their original appearance. This scene was not broadcasted, so the internet went blank for a few minutes. When they saw the image again, Shishang and Feng Ci were already standing in the middle of the hall. Some people noticed a smiling woman sitting at the top of the hall. She was also wearing a simple traditional red dress. She was dressed up carefully and looked 10 years younger. Her beauty was stunning. Strange, Shishang doesn't seem to have any elders. Who is she? Picture. Yu Chong. Is this for real? Yu Chong was famous throughout the entire galaxy, not just the Nether Galaxy. There were countless people who wanted to win her favor. Who is Yu Chong? Although she's a little older, she's definitely Yu Chong. She was a goddess back then. How did she know Shishang? He even witnessed her marriage. What's their relationship? Yu Chong waited for Shishang and Feng Ci to stand in front of her before she slowly stood up. In the past, yin and yang were created. Everything was nurtured, and only man was the spiritual leader. Love was passed down through books and ceremonies. Today is the day of the wedding ceremony, to meet the guest of honor. The 3 prisons eat together, and drink together with the cooks. Heaven and earth are our witnesses. The sun and moon are our names. Yu Chong handed the 2 jade pendants in her hand to Shishang and Feng Ci. Present. Shishang explained the process to Feng Ci. He dripped his blood onto the jade pendant. The blood should have been absorbed by the jade pendant, but it did not react at all. Feng Ci looked at Shishang, his nervous expression carrying a hint of innocence. Yu Chong's expression darkened. She quickly gestured to the person beside her to stop the live broadcast. The person on the other side turned the camera to the Shi family outside. How did this happen? Yu Chong looked at Shishang. Shishang wiped the blood off the jade pendant. It's okay, Auntie Yu. We can save this step. Shishang, this is against the rules. Yu Chong was a little troubled. It's okay. Shishang's tone was firm. Yu Chong hesitated for a moment, then nodded and signaled the person on the live broadcast to continue filming. The live broadcast was done by the Zhanlong guards. They were smart enough to only film the jade pendant in Shishang's hand. Blood slowly seeped into the jade pendant until it disappeared. Shishang passed the jade pendant to Feng Ci, and Feng Ci passed his to her. Yu Chong calmed herself down and continued with the etiquette. After she was done, there was still the matter of the old men. They surrounded Shishang and Feng Ci in the middle and were chanting something in a low voice. Vaguely, there seemed to be the cries of dragons and phoenixes intertwining. Of course, this scene could not be broadcasted. Everyone on the Star Web knew that some scenes of the 6 major families' wedding could not be shown to outsiders, so they began to gossip about the identity of the boy who was marrying Shishang. But after searching for a long time, he still couldn't find any useful information. The scene played again. Shishang and Feng Ci had changed into white clothes and were walking toward an ancient-looking building. White robes, black hair, and ethereal immortal chi. She looks so good even in white traditional clothes. She looks like an immortal on TV. She's simply too good-looking. I feel like she's much more realistic than on TV. That's right, that's right. The acting in TV is too bad. They don't have the aura of an immortal at all. This is a real immortal. I wonder if she'll enter the entertainment industry. Now that I think about it, Master Shi and that boy are quite compatible. That's right. If it weren't for the fact that she's so cruel, I'd definitely be her fan. Why is it gone again? Nonsense. That's their ancestral hall. How could they let you see it? You might not know what an ancestral hall is. It's the ancient civilization of the Huaxia clan. The ancestral tablets of the past generations are placed inside. Many people didn't understand the ancient civilization of the Huaxia clan, but everyone knew that this clan was quite impressive. Just look at the 6 major families. It was just that there were very few Huaxia clan members left. Most of the Huaxia clan members frequently intermarried with other clans. Their bloodline was diluted, and those who were very impressive at the beginning of the interstellar era were all gone. On the other hand, the 6 major families, the 7 major families and the Xia clan, who didn't show much of their strength after the interstellar era arrived. They started to stand out in the Netherworld galaxy and gradually became the dominant force. Inside the ancestral hall, Feng Ci looked at the empty room with a puzzled expression. Why was there nothing here? Shishang made a hand seal, and the air around them started to move. Rows of ancestral tablets started to appear, and the smell of sandalwood filled the air. Shishang didn't feel anything for these people. He just brought Feng Ci to the left and washed his hands. These are my parents' ancestral tablets. Shishang brought Feng Ci to the 2 ancestral tablets. You only need to pay your respects to them. Feng Ci took the incense and bowed in a standard manner. He solemnly promised, I'll protect her for life. Shishang didn't tell Feng Ci much about his parents, but Feng Ci could tell that he respected them very much. Shishang engraved Feng Ci's name on the ancestral records. His name flashed for a moment, then disappeared from the records. Shishang was silent. Why? That piece of jade didn't absorb his blood, and now even his name wasn't on the ancestral records. It's probably because you're not from this world. Shishang put down the ancestral records. This ancestral records had been passed down from generation to generation, and it had long been sentient. Feng Ci didn't belong to this world, so it was normal that it didn't recognize him. Feng Ci bit his lower lip. His pale face was a little gloomy. Then, it's good that I'm recognized. Others aren't important. Shishang interrupted Feng Ci. I brought you through all the rituals today to let you understand your place in my heart. It's also to let everyone know that you're mine. Will they make things difficult for you? If his name wasn't on the ancestral records, there would definitely be people who would take the opportunity to cause trouble. I'm the head of the family. Unless I die and a new head takes over, no one has the right to look at the ancestral records. Feng Ci's gaze landed on the ancestral records. The surrounding air suddenly became cold, and a murderous aura filled the air. Shishang. How could he be so murderous towards a mere ancestral records? Shishang was about to pull him back when the pages of the ancestral records suddenly flipped open. It stopped at the page that Shishang had just flipped open. Feng Ci's name slowly appeared below her, as if ink had seeped into the paper. Shishang, Feng Ci, Shishang, F***CK. How could this be? The ancestral records were sentient. It felt that this man could destroy it, so it naturally had to submit. Feng Ci retracted his murderous aura and smiled at Shishang, waiting for praise. Shishang patted his dog head. Well done. She had the blood of the Shi family flowing in her body. She couldn't destroy the ancestral records, so any attack would be ineffective against it. Note frowny face in the past, when the world was created, yin and yang were created. All things were nurtured, and only man was the spiritual leader. Love grew, and books and rights were spread. Today, marriage rights are given, and trust is given. The 3 prisons eat and drink together. Heaven and earth bear witness, and the sun and moon are named. From the Internet. Chapter 1401. After the genealogy matter was settled, there was only one last ceremony left. Shishang and Feng Ci changed into the black robes. The elders appeared out of nowhere and led the way, leading them to a place that looked like an altar. Master, young Master Feng Ci, please stand on the altar. The elders gestured for them to go up. Shishang led Feng Ci to the altar. Feng Ci looked at the engravings under his feet. It was an enlarged version of the time flower. The elders followed him and sat cross-legged around the altar. Shishang gestured for Feng Ci to sit down. Feng Ci didn't say anything and sat down obediently. He believed that she wouldn't harm him. Master, can we start? An elder asked Shishang. Yes. Just as the elders were making hand seals, Shishang hurried in from outside. Master, the blue planet is under attack. The first layer of defense has been paralyzed. The second layer of defense is being breached. The elders stopped what they were doing. Shishang looked at Shunxing and frowned. What happened? Someone blocked me. I didn't realize it until it was breached. Shunxing waved his small hand and several holograms appeared in the air. It's the interstellar pirates who attacked us. Their people are everywhere outside the blue planet. The holograms showed the outside of the blue planet. All kinds of starships surrounded the blue planet, densely packed. It looked like they were going to blow up the blue planet. Shishang retracted his gaze. Continue. The elders were shocked. Master, the pirates were already at the door. How could they continue? Continue. Shishang's voice was heavy. The elders' expressions froze at the same time. They looked at each other and quickly made hand seals. Beams of light overflowed from their hands and fell on the altar. The patterns carved on the altar seemed to be injected with vitality. Soft petals stretched out and wrapped Shishang and Feng Ci in it. The petals closed and the light around them dimmed. Only a strange fragrance was left. The space in front of him seemed to be distorted. A silver path appeared in front of him. The end of the path was hidden in the darkness. Time flowers bloomed beside the path. The void on both sides of the path was filled with countless light shadows. He was standing at the beginning of the path. This is... Shishang's voice was soft as she explained. On the path to another world, every clan head would choose a sole contractor to act as their medium. In other words, with this medium, no matter where they go, they'll be able to rely on the sole contractor to return. It's like a directional teleportation. Shishang looked at the silver-white path that led into the darkness and continued, most of the family heads chose to use their partners as mediums. This means that they have given their lives to their partners. What if there is no medium? If you don't have a medium, it will be very difficult for you to come back once something happens in the other world. You will either die or be trapped in the other world. How did you come back before? The first lesson we learned was how to find the way back from the other world. I'm better at it, that's all. Shishang squeezed his hand. I'll tell you more about it when I have time. Let's go out first. Feng Ci nodded. The silvery white path disappeared, and the dim light returned. Soft petals fell, solidifying into hard marks. A few elders had already retreated from the altar and were talking to Shenzhing. Shishang held Feng Ci's hand and left. They dispersed to make room for Shishang. Which pirate group is so arrogant? It's a group formed by all the famous pirates. Shenzhing pointed at the holographic image that had not yet disappeared and pointed at a few iconic images. Shishang's gaze swept across the starships. What did you find? Shenzhing immediately changed the image. Many of my permissions have been blocked. I can only find out that they came from the Black Wind starfield behind the Red Moon Galaxy. The commander-in-chief is called Moto. It's him. He fought with the Alliance a few times. He's a very powerful person. Shishang looked at the people in front of him and narrowed his eyes. Where are they now? The second layer of defense has just been broken. They are now attacking the third layer. Shishang's expression was calm. It's still early. Why are you in such a hurry? Master, my permissions have been blocked. The little loli stomped her feet. How could she not be anxious? This was a big deal. Shishang calmly waved his hand. All right, the ceremony is over. You can all disperse. I'm going to check on the idiot who came to cause trouble. Everyone. The family head was as arrogant as ever. Disperse. Disperse. The few elders dispersed. They had no right to speak now anyway. If they stayed, they would only be scolded. They might as well disperse as soon as possible. Master, why have my permissions been blocked? Is there anyone in the galaxy who is more powerful than me? The little loli followed behind Shishang and kept asking questions. Do you still remember your name? I don't remember. Wasn't my name given by you? The little loli asked innocently. Change back. Shi Shang stretched out his hand. Huh. The little lowly frowned and sniffed. Can I not change? She liked it when she was in human form. What do you think? In the end, the little lowly changed back into a tablet and landed in Shi Shang's hand. He clicked on a skull icon on the screen and a page popped up. There were all kinds of switches on it. 4 switches lit up at the front. Shen Xing had activated 4 layers of defense. The entire blue planet had several defense lines. The first few layers were all mechanized. Behind them were artificial intelligence and the Zhonlong guards. Lastly, there was the defense line set up by Shi Shang himself. It wouldn't be easy to break through the blue planet. However, the enemy had broken through 2 layers of defense in such a short time. She couldn't let her guard down. It was better to kill them first. The star web was buzzing about the marriage of the family head of the Shi family. Now, it was buzzing about the news of the entire blue planet being besieged. There were several live broadcasts on the star web. The pirates were attacking the blue planet from different angles. The densely packed starships sent chills down everyone's spine. They had never seen such a large number of pirates. Are these pirates crazy? Why are they attacking the blue planet? These pirates don't seem to be on the same side. So many pirates are attacking the blue planet together. They are determined to take over the blue planet. There are so many of them. I wonder if they can take over the blue planet. Will the Alliance get involved? They have been wanting to kill that person for a long time. This is the best time to fan the flames. The pirates chose to attack today. Isn't this too intentional? It is quite intentional. It seems like they came prepared. Didn't the higher-ups say that they have broken through 2 layers of defense? It seems like the pirates are going to win this time. It's hard to say who will win. There are many pirates, but don't forget who they are up against. If she is so easy to deal with, the Alliance would have gotten rid of her long ago. I bet 5 star coins that the Alliance won't dare to do anything. You took a big detour. How did you end up talking about the Alliance? Chapter 1402. Just as everyone was discussing heatedly, a pure black starship appeared in front of them. As soon as the starship appeared, the pirates on the other side blew up 2 starships. The explosions were inexplicable, as if they were cheering for the pure black starship's appearance. By the time the audience reacted, the pirates had already blown up. The flames lit up half the universe. The scene was spectacular. The audience. What happened? Did they watch the edited version? Why did it blow up the moment it appeared? Everyone looked at the live broadcast written clearly on the screen. It was indeed a live broadcast. So what exactly happened just now? By the time they wanted to continue watching, all the live broadcasts had stopped. Shi Shang poked the tablet with a cold expression. Every time she poked, there would be an explosion. After poking the green dots on the tablet, she looked up into the distance. The starship at the front was completely undamaged, as if nothing had happened to it. Shi Shang asked Shi Feng, who was separated from her by a screen, "That guy called Moto, didn't he steal the things we made?" "No." Shi Shang, "If they didn't steal the things, how could she blow them up?" Shi Shang pulled out his sword. "Just do it yourself." "They're retreating." Shi Feng's voice sounded. Shi Shang looked outside. Sure enough, the battle line began to pull back. "Master, should we chase after them?" "Chase? Chase my ass. What if there was a trap? Release a batch of AI mechas and check them out." Shi Shang ordered Shi Feng. "Activate the self-destruct program. Blow them up after the data is sent back." Shi Feng's mouth twitched. Master was squandering again. The cost of an AI mecha exceeded 100 million. She released a batch of them without recycling them. "Master, even if you stole them, you should spend them sparingly. They spent a lot of money to maintain these things." Not long after the batch of AI mechas was released, Shi Shang saw a faint flash of fire. Shi Feng quickly sorted out the data sent back by the self-destruct team. Shi Shang looked through the data. In addition to clear pictures, There was also a comprehensive analysis by the AI based on the actual situation scanned. "Master, we have a visitor." Shen Xing's voice suddenly sounded. "Ha!" Shi Shang was immediately blocked by another image. A small spaceship was parked at the entrance of the starship. "The Space Administration, they actually came. Let them in." Shen Xing opened the entrance hatch of the starship, and the spaceship glided in. At this moment, a silver-gray shadow slid in from the side, and countless sparks appeared on the screen. Shi Shang was speechless. "What a scammer, I." She got up and left the room. Feng Ci immediately followed her. He followed behind her silently like a dutiful follower. At this moment, in the cabin where the accident happened, the spaceship was knocked off course and hit the wall of the starship. There was a huge dent where it was hit, which showed how hard it was hit. Looking at the instigator again, the silver-gray shadow was a mech. Its huge body was like a giant monster, and at this time, the monster had only flipped over and was not damaged at all. The Zhanlong guards quickly surrounded the area. As soon as Caesar came out, he was faced with a group of Zhanlong guards with weapons raised. Blood flowed down his forehead uncontrollably. Gina supported him. Her seductive face was pale, which showed how serious the impact was. The silver-gray mech opened at this moment, and a man jumped out. His face was handsome, and his eyebrows were gentle. Even though he was in a mess, the first thing he did after jumping out was to tidy himself up. Everyone was speechless. Where did this retard come from? "Hello." The man greeted everyone politely. He looked like a gentle young master from an aristocratic family. Everyone was speechless. Even Caesar thought that this man might be crazy. "Arrest them." Suddenly, there was a shout from the front. The Zhanlong guards went forward to arrest them without saying anything. Caesar and Gina were very cooperative, but the man was not happy. He quickly ran back into the mech. "Hey, Shi Shang, is this how you treat your guests?" Shi Shang stood on a slightly higher level and sneered. "I don't think I need to treat a retard who always wants to kill me." Mu Bai, this retard, actually dared to come to them. Don't ask her how she knew. Based on his behavior just now, it was probably the truth. "I'm here to surrender," Mu Bai quickly said. "Don't come over." "Surrender." Shi Shang continued to sneer. "You're starting to play new tricks now?" "I'm not lying to you. I'm really here to surrender." Mu Bai was forced into the mech by the Zhanlong guards. His voice came through the mech, and it was a little low. "Little Shang, why don't you listen to him?" Caesar suddenly spoke up for Mu Bai. "Anyway, this is your territory. You can kill him any time." Shi Shang narrowed his eyes. "You're with him?" "Of course not," Caesar immediately denied. "If you're not, why are you speaking up for him? Are you crazy?" Caesar was speechless. He just wanted to stop the bleeding. He was afraid that he would bleed to death. "You won't die if you listen to me." Mu Bai scratched the wall in the mech. Did she think that he wanted to meet this woman who didn't play by the rules? He didn't want to. But he had no choice. Other than her, he couldn't think of anyone else. In the meeting room, Feng Ci sat calmly at the head of the table. His gaze swept from Caesar to Mu Bai on his left. Something seemed to be moving in the depths of his eyes. Caesar held his forehead and blocked Feng Ci's gaze. Mu Bai, on the other hand, was curiously sizing up Feng Ci. He really couldn't understand what Shi Shang saw in him. "He looks like a pretty boy." Before Mu Bai could finish this thought, he suddenly met Feng Ci's gaze. His body stiffened and he quickly looked away. He knew what she saw in him. People of the same kind were always attracted to each other. Shi Shang entered the room and closed the door. He pulled out the chair next to Feng Ci and sat down. "Speak." "A three-way meeting." "Very good." There were some things that needed to be said today. Caesar seemed to know Mu Bai. He glanced at Mu Bai, and Mu Bai gave Caesar a puzzled look. "Why are you looking at me?" Mu Bai naturally knew who the man in front of him was. He cleared his throat. "Okay, I'll speak first. Shi Shang, Do you know who has the most authority in the 6 major galaxies? Shi Shang's hand that was playing with the tablet paused. He looked up at Mu Bai. Mu Bai was waiting for his answer. Mu Bai was talking about authority, not power. Shi Shang put down the tablet. His expression was indifferent. 0. That's right. 0 has the most authority. As long as there's internet, all artificial intelligence, security robots, household robots, and even starships and mechas can be controlled by 0. *1. This isn't the end of this article. There will be more to come. 2. Xia Chu said that she loved him, but it might not be love. Can you be more pure? 3. You're thinking too much. Don't tell me if there's a bug. I don't care. I won't change it. Just kidding. You can tell me if there's a bug. I'll try my best to cover it up. 4. I'm begging for a vote today. Chapter 1403. 0. The Galactic Mainframe. It was connected to all the galaxies. The people who built 0 wanted the entire galaxy to be connected to the internet so that a message wouldn't have to travel across several galaxies. And that group of people had also realized it. As generations passed, ordinary people could chat and communicate with people from different galaxies on the star network. The mainframe was getting more and more powerful. The mainframe was very fair. The 6 galaxies were very divided, but the mainframe didn't side with any side. It was like a guardian angel, protecting the privacy of ordinary people and the safety of every galaxy. It would never let anyone get any illegal information from it. But, what if one day, this guardian angel didn't want to be a guardian angel anymore? Let me explain. Caesar brushed the blonde hair in front of his forehead. 0 tried to control the human race and turn the world into a heartless kingdom. In 0's mind, emotions were superfluous to all races. Without emotions, they would become stronger. Therefore, it tried to remove human emotions and turn all races into emotionless machines. Without emotions, there would be no war. 0 felt that this would make all the galaxies live in peace. Caesar said that he saw this secret by chance. He tried to communicate with the mainframe, but the mainframe was stubborn and even wanted to kill him. He had no choice but to fake his death. It started so early? Shi Shang raised his eyebrows. Caesar nodded. I don't know when 0 got this idea, but when I found out, it already had a certain level of power. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been forced to fake my death. Shi Shang was shocked. What kind of stupid setting was this? This wasn't a virtual world, this was reality. The mainframe was trying to take over the world. No, it wasn't trying to take over the world. It was trying to turn everyone into emotionless machines. It was poisonous. It might as well have taken over the world. I hadn't even conquered the universe yet. What was it trying to do? Shi Shang calmed down. So its people are everywhere in the 6 galaxies? Those who attacked me outside were also under its command? Is it crazy? Why did it attack I's blue planet? Don't panic. Let me finish. Caesar quickly calmed Shi Shang down. Shi Shang tapped the table with his index finger. Go ahead. When Caesar faked his death and escaped from the mainframe, he met the director of the Space Administration at the time. He did not dare to tell anyone about this, but during his time in the Space Administration, Caesar discovered that they were also investigating this matter. Therefore, he revealed some information appropriately, and the 2 sides exchanged information. The Space Administration knew a lot more than Caesar did. It was then that Caesar learned of the Space Administration's strength. It was completely different from the scammer organization that the outside world was talking about. The mission of the Space Administration was to maintain the normal operations of the world. The Cortex Prime was trying to turn everyone into emotionless machines to achieve the goal of world peace. Such a crazy idea would definitely cause unpredictable consequences. With such a situation occurring, they naturally had to deal with it. However, the mainframe was far more powerful than they had imagined. After several unsuccessful negotiations, the Space Administration suffered heavy losses. As more and more people were controlled by the mainframe, the Space Administration was afraid that something would go wrong. They had no choice but to launch a final attack on the mainframe. They wanted to destroy the mainframe. Of course, reality proved that this was just their imagination. The mainframe had long been integrated into everyone's lives. It could exist on any machine. With so many people's consciousness connected to the galactic web, a single virus from it could make them fall into a deep sleep. The Space Administration was afraid that the situation would go out of control, so they reached an agreement with the mainframe. They wanted to prove to the mainframe that emotions were necessary, and the mainframe agreed to give them time. But how could they prove their feelings? Just a simple, "I love you"? No, the mainframe would not believe in such feelings. They researched for a long time, but could not come up with an accurate plan. In the end, this plan was proposed by Caesar. If they could make a cold-blooded and heartless person have true feelings, they might have a chance of winning. At first, we did not choose you. However, after some discussion, we felt that the first few people were not suitable. In the end, I suggested you. Shi Shang's gaze drifted to Caesar. Caesar laughed. You are very powerful and ruthless. You have a firm heart. Once you have decided on something, you will not change it. Shi Shang laughed coldly. One by one, they had schemed against him. Very good. Caesar felt his scalp tingle when he saw Shi Shang's smile. So what about him? Shi Shang pointed at Feng Ci. Was he also arranged by you? This is definitely an accident. We did find a person, but before that person could enter, Feng Ci's thought somehow managed to barge in. We could only beat him at his own game and change the person to him. Caesar added, at that time, he was not as strong as he is now. He was a little weak. However, as he traveled through the virtual world again and again, his strength began to recover. Shi Shang glanced sideways. The person next to him was smiling innocently. His eyes were filled with joy. It was as if he did not care about what they were saying. He only had eyes for her. Oh, so why is it attacking the blue planet now? Shi Shang's expression was cold, but his words were squeezed out through gritted teeth. We all know about your relationship with Feng Ci. The mainframe went back on his word. Caesar looked at Mu Bai. He was arranged by the mainframe to kill you. However, you are obviously more powerful. Mu Bai. He did not want to talk. He wanted to be alone. Shi Shang looked at Mu Bai. It's your turn. Mu Bai spread his hands. There's nothing to say. Just one sentence. He chose me and gave me the power to go in and kill you. Then he set me free. Let me ask you a question first. Did you tell the Mu family that I'm back? Yes. Mu Bai's mouth twitched. He slammed the table and stood up. Do you have to be so cruel? That bastard Mu Yi is buying information about me everywhere. Don't you have the mainframe to protect you? How could he find you? Shi Shang's mouth twitched. Mu Bai took a deep breath. A gentleman should be elegant. He could not lose his temper. Caesar. Hey, we were discussing a serious matter. Why did you suddenly change the topic? Mu Bai sat back down. If it wasn't for Mu Yi, I wouldn't have known that the mainframe had no intention of letting me go. Then you should thank me. Mu Bai. Thank my ass. Of course, he would not say that out loud. How could an elegant aristocrat say something so vulgar? I escaped from there. Mu Bai tugged at his hair and said reluctantly, the mainframe has eyes everywhere. I didn't know where to go. I just happened to see your starship, so I came in. Shi Shang was speechless. You're so casual. Aren't you afraid that I will kill you? Mu Bai suddenly became smug. What I know is different from what you know. You won't kill me so easily. #update # did you work today? You have a guaranteed ticket at the beginning of the month. Let's see if you have. Move your little hands and work. Chapter 1404. Shi Zhe knocked on the table, interrupting them. Can you be more serious? This isn't a joke. This isn't the virtual world, where you can start over if you make a mistake. Shi Shang said seriously, the mainframe is going back on its word. There's no need to kill me. What deal do you have with it? That's why I said I don't want to deal with her. There's still a final test, which requires the mainframe's approval. You and Feng Ci must have made the mainframe feel threatened, so it wants to kill you. In the virtual world, Shi Shang suddenly gained control of the system. It was then that the mainframe inserted the virus, Mu Bai, into the system. Later on, Shi Shang became so powerful that he didn't have many opportunities to intervene. He could only watch Mu Bai jump around. Shi Shang narrowed his eyes. Then here's the problem. Everything I'm going through now is because of you. What do you want from me now? From the very beginning, they had plotted against her to the virtual world, and now they wanted to arrange for a man to come in? Although she was quite satisfied with the last person to come in. But thinking about how they had plotted against him, Shi Shang was very unhappy. Now the mainframe was going back on its word. Where was its integrity? Had it been eaten? F*ck his uncle. Even machines couldn't be trusted these days. I'm here to surrender. Mu Bai raised his hand. I don't want to be turned into an emotionless tool by the mainframe. Shi Shang rolled his eyes speechlessly. Can't you be more reasonable? Mother ***. He had gone against her in the game, and now he dared to talk about surrendering in front of her. Mu Bai was very firm. My position is to survive. Shi Shang. Great, there's nothing wrong with that. Isn't everyone fighting to survive? Some people climbed up the ladder to live a better life, while others were content with the status quo. What about you? Shi Shang looked at Shi Zhe. Shi Zhe pondered for a moment. Let's deal with the mainframe together. Xiao Shang, don't argue. Let me finish. Once the mainframe carries out its plan, all the species in the 6 galaxies will become walking corpses. The 6 galaxies will be finished. I know you don't care about many people, but what about Yu Chong? What about the one beside you? Shi Shang tilted his head. It's not like I have to live in this world. Caesar's expression froze. He was clear about the Shi family's ability. She could bring Feng Ci and Yu Chong to live in another world. With her ability, she wouldn't have a bad life. However, there were also restrictions on going to other worlds. This is the place you've lived in for so many years. Do you really want to see it become a lifeless world? It's none of my business. What about your fans? You don't care either? Shi Shang was silent for a moment. Then Caesar continued, do they support you enough? No matter what you do, they will help you unconditionally. Are you going to watch them become emotionless machines? Shi Shang remained indifferent. It's none of my business. Caesar. He thought that her heart would soften a little when she was with Feng Ci, but from the looks of it, there was no change. Cold-blooded and heartless. Caesar gritted his teeth and continued to lay out his trump card. Where's Xia Chu? Shi Shang looked up. His eyes were unreadable, as if waiting for him to continue. But Caesar didn't say anything. Both sides were in a stalemate. Mu Bai looked at Shi Shang and then at Caesar. He tried his best to maintain an elegant posture. Although he was a little confused, he couldn't lower his style. Shi Shang just stared at him. In the end, Caesar gave in. Use Xia Chu as an exchange. Shi Shang suddenly stood up and walked out with Feng Ci. He coldly ordered the Zhonlong guards outside. Throw them out. Xiao Shang, Xia Chu is your only friend. You don't even care about her? Shi Shang stood at the door and said coldly, Xia Chu is already dead. Caesar and Mu Bai were mercilessly thrown out by the Zhonlong guards. Mu Bai was afraid that the mainframe would track him, so he could only compromise and follow Caesar. Shi Shang held the Rubik's Cube that Yu Chong gave her and leaned against the bed. Feng Ci lay beside her and looked at her. Why don't you open it? She had been fiddling with the Rubik's Cube and was about to open it a few times, but she messed it up again. Shi Shang put down the Rubik's Cube and leaned over to kiss Feng Ci. She only touched him lightly and then pulled him into her arms. There are some things that are better left unknown. If you don't want to be here, I can take you away, Feng Xiai said softly. I'll take you wherever you want to go. You're playing tricks again. Shi Shang bit his ear. Her voice was full of affection. Feng Xiai didn't feel embarrassed that he was exposed. Instead, he said confidently, I just want to be with you alone. He only played tricks on her. Shi Shang suddenly pushed him onto the bed and rudely pulled his clothes. Feng Xiai was a little confused. He only reacted when he was naked. Xiao Shang. Don't talk. Shi Shang reached out and pressed his lips. I want to sleep with you now. Feng Xiai blushed and followed Shi Shang's rhythm. He felt a trace of impatience and anxiety in her. He knew that it must have something to do with what Shi Zhe said. The more Feng Xiai thought about it, the more uneasy he felt. He was originally cooperating, but he suddenly pulled away and went to the other side with the blanket wrapped around him. Shi Shang. What's going on? Feng Xiai. Feng Xiai ignored her. Shi Shang grabbed him and pressed him onto the bed. What's wrong with you again? Feng Xiai tilted his head and ignored her. He bit his lips so hard that blood seeped out of the corner of his mouth. Shi Shang quickly reached out and pinched his chin, forcing him to open his mouth. What are you doing? Feng Xi's expression was cold. His eyes were terrifyingly dark, as if a storm was coming. He grabbed the blanket under him and tried not to look at the person on top of him. He was afraid that he wouldn't be able to control himself. But he didn't want to push her away. Shi Shang pulled the blanket away and snuggled in. She pressed against his chest. I'm sorry. I was a little emotional just now. Did I make you feel uncomfortable? Feng Xiai wanted to reach out and hug her, but he controlled himself. He said, You're thinking about someone else. Yes, I'm thinking about Xia Chu. Shi Shang listened to his heartbeat. I met her first, but she's already dead. Yes, she's already dead. Shi Shang kissed her way up Feng Xi's chest and paused at his chin. She smelled blood, so she paused. There won't be a next time. Don't be angry. I was wrong. Feng Xi's stiff body softened. He slowly reached out and hugged her. You have your own life. I know I'm not in a position to tell you what to do. I just regret not meeting you when you needed me the most. Shi Shang nibbled on his Adam's apple. If I met you when I needed you the most, we wouldn't be in this relationship today. You have to understand that meeting the same person at different times will lead to different results. It's good that we met now. Chapter 1405. Feng Xiai was in a daze. Shi Shang got out of bed and poured him a glass of milk. Feng Xiai held the milk and drank it in small sips. He tilted his head. Why do you always give me milk? Don't you like it? Feng Xiai looked at the empty glass. His mouth was filled with the fragrance of milk, but he remembered that she didn't like the taste. Was it because he liked it that she could accept it? Shi Shang took the glass away and kissed the corner of his mouth. The taste of milk diluted the smell of blood, but there was still a faint taste. Shi Shang was afraid that Feng Xiai would do something, so she endured the discomfort and went deeper. Do you still want to do it? I don't want to do it anymore. Feng Xiai turned his head away. But your body is very honest. Shi Shang smiled and touched his lower body. I'll be serious. Feng Xi's body trembled, and his ears turned red. He reached out and grabbed her wrist. Let go. Let go. Okay. Let go. You really don't want to do it anymore? No. Feng Xiai turned his body and buried himself in the quilt. Shi Shang sighed and lay next to him. Feng Xiai lingered there for a while, then turned around and hugged her. Will you say yes to them? What? They said it. He didn't understand what the mainframe meant. To be honest, I don't know. Shi Shang shrank into his arms. This isn't a game world. Every variable will affect my decision, but you have to remember that you're mine. If I live, you live. If I die, you die. Feng Ci suddenly felt happy. Yes, I'm yours. If you live, I live. If you die, I die. It doesn't matter that I didn't participate in your past, but your future can only be mine. Mu Bai drank Gina's freshly ground coffee, looking elegant and handsome. Gina rolled her eyes at him. This person has no integrity at all. He's still pretending. Miss Gina, I don't think I've offended you, right? Mu Bai put down the coffee and said gently. Gina snorted and left the room, twisting her waist. She really didn't know how this person survived in the Shi family. Did he cheat? Mu Bai really did have a cheat, but that cheat no longer cared about him and wanted to kill him. Caesar raised his head from a pile of data and asked with a frown, Mu Bai, how did you escape from Zero's hands? With a gentle smile on his face, Mu Bai said, Chief Caesar, if I tell you, will you allow me to stay? The Space Control Department and the Shi family's residence were the only safe places. Shi Shang would definitely not care about him, so now only Caesar's space administration was left. Caesar turned off the screen and crossed his hands on the table. There was a faintly discernible grin on his face, and his blonde hair was dazzling. That depends on the value of your information. Mu Bai met Caesar's gaze and smiled gently. You have to promise me before I tell you. Even if this piece of information is worthless, the other pieces of information I have will definitely be useful. One of them looked like a ruffian, like a hooligan. One of them had a gentle face, like a noble young master. The two of them stared at each other. The scene looked very beautiful, but in reality, both of them were under a lot of pressure. Caesar was at a disadvantage with the Shi Shang, but he did not want to be at a disadvantage with Mu Bai. So when Gina came in, she saw her chief and the pretentious man looking at each other affectionately. She went out for a while. What happened? Gina cleared her throat and interrupted them mercilessly. Chief, I just received news that the pirates are approaching the Blue Planet again. Caesar looked away. How did she react? Gina blinked and after a few seconds, she said, she did not react for the time being. Her starship is still parked there. One starship? Yes, one starship. Gina nodded. Caesar restrained the smile on his face. What about the capital star? Gina's eyes flashed. Chief, it's good enough that those people did not come to cheer for her. Do you still want them to help her? They want to cheer for her, but they don't dare. Once the Shi family falls, the Alliance will take action. Even if the Nether star system joins the Alliance, it will become a subsidiary star system and will not be used. What is the saying? A bitch is still a chastity. Gina glanced at him. She did not know how he could say such things with such an expression. It was so weird. Caesar nodded in agreement. Most people in the Nether star system scolded her, but they forgot that if it were not for her, the Red Moon system and the Alliance would not have allowed the Nether star system to be independent for so many years. Those people in the capital star also knew the consequences of joining the Alliance. They had to rely on her deterrence, but they also scolded her in their hearts and wanted to get rid of her quickly. Shi Shang was not the only one who sometimes felt that these people were hopeless. It would be better to let the mainframe turn them into emotionless machines. Chief, what should we do now? Caesar did not answer Gina. Instead, he looked at Mu Bai. You still haven't told me how you escaped. Mu Bai smiled. You have to agree to my terms first. You first. Caesar did not give in. Mu Bai. Caesar raised his eyebrows. Mr. Mu, you have to know what you will be in if you go out now. Mu Bai. Of course, he knew what he would be in. Mu Yi, that bastard, was looking for him everywhere, and the mainframe was watching from behind. Calm down. Elegance. A warm smile appeared on Mu Bai's face. Do you still remember the mecha I piloted? Caesar's face suddenly darkened. He touched his forehead with his finger. Even now, it was still hurting faintly. How could he not remember? Mu Bai seemed to have one around. His tone became lighter. That was a super mecha. The mainframe could not control it. A super mecha required a person with extremely strong spiritual power to operate it. Of course, it did not mean that one could operate it just because one had strong spiritual power. There was another condition. One had to be acknowledged by the super mecha. No matter how strong one's spiritual power was, there was nothing one could do if the mecha did not allow one to operate it. In Xuanhuan terms, a super mecha was a divine artifact with sentience. The mainframe could not control it. That was a super mecha? How was that possible? That mecha looked no different from an ordinary mecha. Of course, that was if one ignored its terrifying impact. Caesar rolled his eyes and looked at Mu Bai suspiciously. This man could bind himself to a super mecha? Chief Caesar, do you have any questions? What did that suspicious look mean? Nothing. Caesar looked away. Gina, arrange a room for Mr. Mu. Gina's eyes widened. Chief, are you really going to let him stay? He caused so much trouble for you. And he was related to the mainframe. What if he was a spy sent by the mainframe? Even that person in the Shi family did not care about him. Don't be stupid. Mu Bai smiled at Gina. Could she control her expression when she was criticizing him? Was she afraid that others would not know? As a gentleman, he would not argue with a woman. Keep smiling. Chapter 1406. The pirates gathered around again. Shi Fang ordered the Zhanlong guards to be on alert and inform him immediately if there was any news. Just as he arranged these things, Shi Fang's personal terminal suddenly rang. He opened the screen and his mouth twitched. Master, you're still in the mood to update. As Shi Shang's most trusted person, Shi Fang knew what his master did when he had nothing to do. The novel that he stopped updating 3 months ago was now updated. The fans below were all excited. Oh my God, Master has revived. Master, you're finally updating. Sob sob sob, I've been waiting for so long. Blah blah blah. Master's latest chapter, the female lead is about to die. I don't doubt that Master will let her die. My heart aches for the female lead who was tortured by Master all those years. It's still the familiar formula and taste. There's nothing wrong with it. According to the previous conclusion, this novel is most likely going to be a scam. Everyone, be prepared. Upstairs, don't jinx it. Master, please don't scam us. Even if the female lead dies, we'll accept it. Please don't scam us. Shi Fang scrolled through the comments. Most of them were saying things like, Master, you're finally updating. There were also a few people discussing the plot. Shi Fang sighed. If these people knew that the person who updated the novel was Shi Shang, who they hated so much, would they be angered to death? After Shi Shang finished updating the latest chapter, he slowly looked at the pirates outside. The self-destructing team had caused them a lot of losses. Now, the pirates had obviously shrunk their team. Shi Shang was thinking about sending another self-destructing team to blow them up. She immediately opened Shi Fang and ordered him to blow them up. Shi Fang. What the hell? Master, are you addicted to playing? Shi Fang reminded him tactfully, Master, there aren't many of those artificial intelligences left. If you continue playing like this, how can they withstand your exhaustion? What are you afraid of? There are plenty of them in the Alliance. Shi Shang looked indifferent. Shi Fang. There were plenty of them in the Alliance. What did it have to do with them? Wait. Master, you're not planning to rob the Alliance's special forces again, are you? Shi Fang asked a little fearfully. Shi Shang's face serious. I'm not that kind of person. If you're not that kind of person, then there's no such person in this world. The clan master needs some face. You talk more and more nonsense. Hurry up and do it. Shi Shang hung up the phone. Shi Fang looked at the sky speechlessly. He ordered someone to bring over a batch of AI mechas. These mechas didn't need to be controlled by humans. They relied entirely on AI. The Alliance had invented these things to be used as suicide squads. But it was expensive to make, and only the Alliance sold it in batches. Shi Feng felt a little heartache. The Patriarch had used this as a bomb. What a waste. The pirates hadn't even opened up their battle lines when a group of mecha rushed over. Those who were lucky enough to survive the previous explosion still had lingering fears. When they saw a group of mecha rushing over, they were so scared that they couldn't recover for a while. In the end, it was the supreme commander of the pirate crew, Moto, who gave the order in time that prevented irreparable damage. For such a suicidal attack to be so open and aboveboard, the pirates suggested that they should retreat. Even the Alliance couldn't afford to offend him, so how could they? However, Commander Moto had dealt with those who had shaken the morale of the army. Since then, no one dared to talk about retreating. However, there were quite a number of people who were secretly resentful. They were treating their lives as a joke. I really don't know what Commander Moto is thinking. He's treating so many of our lives as a joke. He's the commander now. We have to listen. Damn it. Not good, not good. That person from the Shi family suddenly sent us a message. She said that she's coming over as a guest. A pirate suddenly pointed at the screen and shouted. Everyone looked at the screen and saw the sentence displayed on it at the same time. The scene fell into silence. After a while, someone muttered, "What does this mean? Coming over as a guest? Was there something wrong with her brain?" The pirates didn't know if Shi Shang was crazy or not, but Commander Moto was definitely crazy. He actually agreed to that person and even asked them to prepare to welcome her. WTF. Shi Shang only brought Feng Ci alone. Moto personally came to fetch her. Moto was a man with a huge build. His entire body felt like it was filled with muscles. Patriarch Shi, I've heard a lot about you. Moto extended his hand towards Shi Shang. His tone was calm and no special emotions could be heard. Shi Shang didn't like this kind of man. He liked pretty boys like Feng Ci. As expected, his wife was still the prettiest. There's no need for that. This kind of formality doesn't apply to me. Shi Shang didn't extend his hand. If he did, Feng Ci would kill him on the spot. Moto's hand awkwardly stopped in mid-air. His expression changed and he calmly retracted his hand. Patriarch Shi, please come in. There's no need. Shi Shang pulled out his sword. His brows were filled with arrogance. I'm here today to kill you. Let's not talk nonsense. Let's fight. Baby, stand further away. The last sentence was directed at Feng Ci. Feng Ci nodded obediently and retreated to the periphery. The surrounding pirates had never seen such a good-looking young man. Even the women didn't think that he was as good-looking as this young man. He seemed to be covered in a layer of light. He was divine and extraordinary. It was as if he could save everyone at any time. But when he walked closer and swept his gaze over them, everyone suddenly felt as if they had fallen from heaven to hell. An invisible fear spread from the bottom of their hearts. Everyone retreated awkwardly and gave him an empty space. What was wrong with this young man? From afar, he looked like cherub. Why was he so *King scary when he walked closer? Moto didn't have the time to pay attention to what kind of psychological trauma Feng Ci had caused his pirates. Shi Shang attacked without hesitation. She wasn't asking for his opinion at all. She was just informing him one-sidedly. In this era, most people relied on mechas. Who would fight hand-to-hand like this? But this young man wanted to fight hand-to-hand. Clang! The iron sword hit the metal beside it. Sparks flew. It ignited something and a huge fire burst out. Moto and Shi Shang looked at each other through the fire. The young girl's black dress flew. The flames danced in her eyes. Her delicate face was full of arrogance. Moto panted heavily. He didn't have the heart to appreciate how beautiful the young girl standing in front of him was. He only knew that this person was really here to kill him. He glanced at a door on the side. After passing through that door, the mechas were parked in front of him. He clenched his fists and ran in that direction. Shi Shang waved his sword. The sword aura carried flames and formed a fire dragon. It swept towards Moto. The scorching heat behind him made him use the fastest speed he had ever used in his life to rush through the door. The fire dragon also rushed through the door. With a loud explosion, the entire cabin door was blown away. Moto's figure charged even deeper into the fire shadow. Shi Shang narrowed his eyes. He touched God Travel and quickly pressed a few buttons. All the power systems of the starship suddenly stopped working. The light disappeared. Only the emergency lights and the raging fire were left. Chapter 1407. The starship's propulsion system stopped working. The starship started to sway and fall. The pirates screamed as they ran. They cursed Moto a few hundred times in their hearts. They had already said that this person was not to be trifled with. Now, everyone was going to die together with him. Feng Ci looked indifferently at the fleeing pirates. He stood there alone in the midst of the chaos, and no matter how one looked at it, it was a little strange. He lifted his feet and walked towards the direction where the fire was spreading. Everywhere he passed by, the chaotic scene would freeze. Everyone maintained a strange posture, some were shouting, some were running. He approached the flames, and the flames seemed to be suppressed, becoming dispirited and listless. He stood in front of the cabin door that had been blown away. He turned back slightly. His lips curled up slightly. There seemed to be a flash of light in his eyes. When he turned back and stepped through the door, the still scene behind him seemed to have been shattered. It was torn apart and fresh blood was everywhere. Those who wanted to hurt her deserved to die. Moto had already run to the mecha cabin. There were mechas parked neatly here. In the dim light, these things looked more like huge monsters. Moto tried to open a mecha, but the propulsion system was completely out of control. He couldn't open it. There were footsteps behind him. They were very clear. There was also the sound of iron sword clashing. Moto's palms started to sweat. He looked around and his gaze landed on the manual control room. He crouched and moved towards it. Just as he was about to reach the control room, the lights around him suddenly lit up. A mecha beside him suddenly moved. The large body pressed towards him. Moto was shocked and quickly retreated. His back was pressed against something cold. His collar was grabbed and pulled up. The collar was strangled around his neck, making it difficult for him to breathe. Moto's body swayed. He stepped on the mecha behind him and saved himself. The mecha beside him moved too. The electromagnetic cannon in its hand was aimed at his head. Moto. His body froze. The suffocating feeling came again. He was lifted into the air again. Shi Shang looked up at the person who was lifted into the air. He narrowed his eyes and smiled. What benefits did Zero promise you? Moto could only struggle. He couldn't speak. I don't care about what it wants to do at all. However, of all things, it shouldn't have tried to target me. Shi Shang said slowly, You're brainless. No matter how powerful it is, I haven't even started to fall, and you actually dared to follow it. Next time when you choose a team, you better open your eyes and don't choose the wrong team. Moto. Who said to stop talking nonsense just now? Why are you talking so much nonsense now? Shi Shang asked the mecha to lower Moto. He looked into his eyes, and under Moto's struggling gaze, he sent the iron sword into his body without hesitation. Do you really think I am that easy to bully? That was the last thing he heard. Arrogant and conceited. Shi Shang wiped his iron sword clean and left the mecha cabin. The young man leaned against the cabin door with his head slightly lowered. The side of his face was perfect and flawless. There seemed to be a cold aura around him, making him seem unapproachable. Hearing the sound, he raised his head and looked to the side. The curve of his lips naturally deepened, revealing a faint smile. His quiet eyes rippled with layers of ripples, tainted with warmth. What did you do? Shi Shang frowned. This guy wouldn't smile so flirtatiously. Nothing. Feng Ci denied. Shi Shang couldn't hear anything from the starship. His frown deepened. Did you kill someone? Feng Ci pursed his lips, stood up straight, and looked at Shi Shang innocently. "Don't pretend to be innocent." Shi Shang went forward and pinched his face. "I told you, my people don't need to do such things." Feng Xi's face was red from being pinched. He pulled her hand down and held it. "They attacked me first. Stop talking nonsense." "Would they dare to attack you?" Shi Shang glared at him. Feng Xi tilted his head and asked innocently, "I'm so good-looking. Why wouldn't they dare?" "Shi Shang, although you're good-looking, it's difficult for others to even get close to you. Why would they attack you?" She didn't believe this nonsense. "Xiao Shang." Feng Xi winked at Shi Shang. His voice was especially seductive. "I won't kill anyone in the future. Don't be angry." "I'm not angry." Shi Shang lowered his eyes and kissed his hand. "With me around, you don't need to be tainted by such filth." "What about you?" Shi Shang looked up at him. Feng Xi's breathing paused. He regretted asking this question. He was afraid that Shi Shang would be angry, so he became nervous. Shi Shang stared at him for a few seconds and suddenly chuckled. "I have a kingdom built with darkness and blood. You're the only light in the kingdom." Feng Xi froze. He clenched his fists and said in a low voice, "I understand. I'll be a good light." There was no salvation for those who were in the same darkness. He was willing to give up the darkness and be the light for the rest of his life. Shi Shang caressed his face and raised his head slightly. "Feng Xi, don't be so careful. As long as you don't go overboard, I can tolerate your willfulness. I can give you anything you want." Sometimes, Feng Xi was so careful that even she couldn't bear it. However, she was also afraid that if she indulged him too much, he wouldn't be willing to give in. She knew what kind of soul Feng Xi hid under his innocent facade in front of her. When that time came, both of them would suffer. And this wasn't the result she wanted. Feng Xi smiled. "I don't feel wronged. You're very good to me. There's no one else in the world who's as good to me as you are. I'm willing to give you something in exchange." If she was willing to spoil him, then let her spoil him. Shi Shang held his face and slowly moved closer. First, she lingered on his cold lips. Only when she felt his warmth did she deepen her kiss. Feng Xi leaned against the cabin door behind him. His breathing was slightly hurried. His long eyelashes fluttered and a blush appeared on his fair cheeks. Shi Shang didn't want to do anything here. He quickly let go of him and smiled. "Let's go, young master. Let's go back to the palace." Feng Xi stood there without moving. "What's wrong?" "Let's go from there," Feng Xi whispered. He glanced at Shi Shang from the corner of his eyes. Shi Shang was suspicious, but he didn't ask. "I'll listen to you." Feng Xi heaved a sigh of relief. If she went out and saw the scene outside, he didn't know if she would want to strangle him. After leaving the starship, Shi Shang took care of the other pirate groups before returning with Feng Xi. The group of pirates was still dumbfounded. They hadn't even started fighting. How did they get wiped out? The news of Shi Shang taking on a pirate group by herself spread throughout the 6 major galaxies. Everyone in the 6 major galaxies sighed. As expected of someone who dared to rob the Alliance. The pirates are gone. Does that mean we don't have to worry about being intercepted by pirates anymore? Speaking of which, she did a good deed. Brother Shang is mighty. Stop dreaming. There are plenty of pirates out there. She only wiped out a few of the more famous pirate groups. Some of the smaller pirate groups also developed rapidly after these groups were wiped out. That makes sense. Pirates definitely won't go extinct. Sigh. Chapter 1408. The team from the capital planet arrived late after Shi Shang dealt with the pirates. They even looked like they were late and it was hard on Master Shi. The 6 families all sent people to greet him. These people didn't say anything when there was trouble, but when it was over, they ran over. Shi Shang couldn't be bothered with them. He asked Shi Feng to send them away and didn't want to see anyone. The group of people felt guilty and didn't dare to say anything. They left their things and left with their people. Master, Master Ji, Master Yen and Master Jean have sent you an invitation. Shi Feng's voice came from the screen. Feng Ci rolled over unhappily and wrapped himself in the blanket. Shi Shang glanced at him and lowered the volume. When did they come? They didn't come in person. They just arrived today. What's the matter? I don't know. The three masters said they must see you or they won't leave. Shi Feng relayed the three's words. If they won't leave, throw them out. They were trying to please her for no reason. They definitely didn't have good intentions. She was determined not to see them. Shi Feng paused for a moment, as if he was shocked, but he quickly responded, "This subordinate understands. It was just throwing a master. It wasn't a big deal. Thinking about all the shameless things the masters had done, this was nothing." Shi Feng led the Zhanlong guards to chase the three masters out of the Blue Planet and set up a ban on entering the Blue Planet. The three masters. It was harder to see a person than His Majesty. Why didn't she go to heaven? His Majesty the mascot. What did it have to do with him? Shi Shang waited for Feng Ci to wake up and took him out for a ride. There weren't many people on the Blue Planet. Those who could enter the Blue Planet were mostly the relatives of the Zhanlong guards, some businessmen, and some brainless fans that Shi Shang let in because he was in a good mood. The rest were the branches of the Shi family that had developed over the years. Shi Shang brought Feng Ci along as they walked down the street. Most people recognized this new madam of the clan head. He looks better in person than on the live broadcast. Ah, he looks so good when he smiles. I'm cured instantly. I'm not smiling at you. Why are you so agitated? Even if he's not smiling at me, it can't stop my maiden heart. Be careful of that person talking to you about life. As soon as he said this, the excited girls calmed down. That was that person's legal partner. If she really talked to them about life, they would be finished. Indeed, beautiful things could only be viewed from afar and could not be profaned. What is this? Feng Ci pointed at a transparent display on the side of the street. There were many cages inside, and inside the cages were many strange creatures. Shi Shang brought him in, and the shopkeeper immediately came out to greet him with a big smile. Master. The shopkeeper was very nervous. Why did this little ancestor come to his place? It was going to kill him. Feng Ci stood in front of a cage. The shop owner glanced at Feng Ci, then glanced at the Shi Shang. Then he stepped forward and introduced, "Young master, this is the Frost Qilin beast. It comes from planet T673 in the Red Moon Galaxy. Its scales are very useful." The Frost Qilin beast in the cage looked like a puppy, but its body was not covered in fur. Instead, it was covered in silver-white scales. It looked as if it was covered in cold air. It lay in the cage and looked at Feng Ci with a weak expression. "Can I touch it?" Feng Ci turned his head and asked. "Young master, I'm afraid you can't. The Frost Qilin beast can hurt people," the shopkeeper explained. His forehead was covered in cold sweat. "Open the cage." "Master." Shi Shang looked over calmly. The shopkeeper was immediately terrified. He stepped forward and opened the cage with trembling hands. As soon as the cage was opened, the shopkeeper dodged to the side and watched as the young man carried the Frost Qilin beast out. The Frost Qilin beast could not resist at all in the young man's hands, let alone hurt him. The shopkeeper stared at the young man as if he had seen a ghost. Where did this person come from? On second thought, if he could be with the master, he must not be a good person. Just as the shopkeeper was about to raise the Frost Qilin beast because the young man liked it, the Frost Qilin beast in the young man's hands suddenly started to struggle. Its scales lost their luster and became dimmer. When the young man let go, the Frost Qilin beast had already lost its vitality. The shopkeeper. Oh my God! Feng Ci put down the Frost Qilin beast and turned to look at Shi Shang. Shi Shang looked at him calmly. There was no doubt or anger in his eyes. "Do you still have the Frost Qilin beast?" She suddenly turned to ask the shopkeeper. The The shopkeeper was startled and quickly nodded. Yes, yes. The goods were just delivered a few days ago. It's in the warehouse at the back. I'll send someone to get it now. Shi Shang took out a card and swiped it at the counter. He quickly tapped on it. Send it to the villa. Yes. Shi Shang pulled Feng Ci out of the shop. His hand was colder than before. Aren't you going to ask why? Feng Ci held her hand. He sounded a little upset. Why? Shi Shang asked cooperatively. The energy in its body makes me feel very comfortable. Feng Ci smiled. Ever since he came to this world, the energy in his body was a little out of control. He always wanted to release it. This was probably what she meant when she said that the laws of this world were different. However, the power of the little beast had allowed him to calm down the restlessness in his body after he had absorbed it. The Frost Qilin beast is not hard to find. I'll get the Zhanlong guards to prepare it for you when we get back. Feng Ci narrowed his eyes and smiled innocently. His face was shining brightly like the stars. Everyone around him seemed to feel the light of Buddha shining on them. Feng Ci wanted to buy something that he had never seen before. He didn't know what it was for, but he just wanted to buy it. Shi Shang was in charge of paying the bill at the back. As expected, the attribute of spending her money was not fake. However, when Feng Ci stood in front of a mecha flagship store, Shi Shang couldn't help but twitch his mouth. What are you buying this for? I've never driven it before, Feng Ci answered seriously. Can I go up? The shop assistant next to him stood there in fear. You want to go up when you've never driven it before? Are you looking for death? Of course, the shop assistant didn't dare to say this. He could only look at Shi Shang and hope that he could stop this suicidal partner of hers. However, under his gaze, Shi Shang nodded. Sure. The shop assistant. WTF? Master Shi, is this really your biological partner? He didn't know the requirements to drive this thing, but how could you not know? In order to drive a normal mecha, one's spiritual power and physical skills had to be at least A+. Even if one met these requirements, they still needed a long period of training to be able to operate a mecha. The young man in front of him was as fragile as a flower without a stem. No matter how he looked at it, he didn't look like someone who had reached A+ in both spiritual power and physical skills. However, no matter how much the shop assistant roared in his heart, Shi Shang still allowed the unbelievably beautiful young man to get into the mecha. The shop assistant was in despair. Seeing Shi Shang jump down after a while, he asked in horror, Master Shi, aren't you going up? Shi Shang replied, he wants to drive it himself. The shop assistant. He must not be awake today. Chapter 1409. When the shop assistant saw how the mecha was wobbly at the beginning and how smoothly it completed a series of difficult maneuvers, he felt like he was still dreaming. Never piloted a mecha before? It must be fake. Although it did look like it had never been piloted before, how did it look like it had never been piloted before? Feng Ci came down from the mecha. His face was normal, completely different from the pale-faced and weak image that the shop assistant had imagined. However, when he approached Shi Shang, he looked uncomfortable and hugged Shi Shang's shoulder. He felt a little dizzy. Now you know it's uncomfortable? Feng Ci's spiritual power was definitely above A+, but he had never touched a mecha before, so he would definitely feel uncomfortable. Yes, Feng Ci replied softly. Shi Shang patted his back and waited for him to calm down. If you're done playing, let's go. It's time to eat. You're not buying? Feng Ci tilted his head and looked at her. There's some at home. If you want to play, go home and pick one. The Shi family had piles of mechas everywhere. Some were stolen from the Alliance, while others were made by the Shi family. He could play one a day without a problem. Oh. Feng Ci looked at the mecha. Most mechas were silver or gray, but this one was a fiery red. The design of the body was very smooth, and it gave people the impression that it was bright. But I want to buy it. Shi Shang. Shi Shang pulled him off his body. Do you have money? Of course you do. Isn't your money for me to spend? Feng Ci said confidently. If you don't spend it for me, who else do you want to spend it for? The shop assistant was speechless, but he looked down and pretended not to hear anything. Shi Shang. Bye. He really owed it to him. Shi Shang had just settled the bill when two young men rushed in. They pulled the shop assistant aside and pointed at the mecha that she had just bought, indicating that they wanted to buy it. The shop assistant recognized the two people in front of her. They had come to take a look before, but they didn't buy it because they didn't have enough money. Today they had enough money. But the problem was, this mecha had already been sold. The shop assistant could only smile. I'm sorry, but this mecha is already sold. You may look at other models. What? Didn't I tell you to keep it for me? One of the young men shouted. How do you do business? How can you sell it to others? The shop assistant cursed silently. Was that someone else? She was the master of the Blue Planet. The entire Blue Planet belonged to her. Would he dare to say no? Who did you sell it to? The young man wearing a leather jacket asked with a frown. The young man with the loud voice also asked, Who did you sell it to? The shop assistant gestured with his chin at the two people who had yet to leave. The two young men looked over at the same time. The first person they saw was the young man leaning against the counter. He was wearing a white shirt and casual pants. He was looking at the screen beside him with his head tilted to the side. Light flashed across his face from time to time. It was as if there was a layer of filter on his face. His entire person was emitting a holy radiance. Perhaps sensing their gazes, the young man raised his head and looked over. The two young men held their breaths at the same time. How could this person be so good-looking? However, the fear that followed soon after spread like a tide. His eyes were as cold as ice. The corners of the young man's lips curled up. He was originally as pure and holy as a god, but at this moment, endless darkness invaded and enveloped the young man. It was as if he could tear them apart with just a lift of his hand. What are you doing? A voice suddenly sounded from the side. The young man suddenly retracted his gaze and instantly turned into cherub. He smiled innocently and his face was coated with a layer of warm light. The two young men only regained their senses after the terrifying feeling disappeared. Damn it, this person graduated from the art department, right? However, the two young men were not in the mood to care about whether Feng Ci graduated from the art department or not. This was because they saw the girl standing with her back facing them. The two of them felt like they had been hit 10,000 times. Why was the head of the Shi family here? The two of them looked at the shop assistant at the same time and shouted silently, She bought the mecha. The shop assistant wanted to roll his eyes, but the customer was God. He could only maintain his smile and nod slightly. The two young men. Crazy. The Shi family had their own mecha store. Why did she come here to buy it? Did the Shi family lack mecha? The two young men did not dare to court death. They turned around and ran outside. After running for a long distance, they finally remembered that the young man seemed to be that person's partner. The two of them looked at each other in silence and wiped away their cold sweat. F***CK, rich people are really stubborn. Feng Ci spent more than 1 billion yuan shopping in Shi Shang's shop for an afternoon. Shi Feng looked at the number that kept being deducted and numbly ordered the staff to make a space to store the things that would be sent back later. Shunqing lay on the table. The decorations on her princess dress made a crisp sound as her little feet swayed. Now you know how much Master dotes on him, right? Shi Feng's typing hand paused. After a while, he continued typing. After sending the message, he looked at Shunqing. I'm a little worried. That Feng Ci in front of Shi Shang and in front of others were completely different. Don't worry about this. Master knows what kind of person she's with. Shi Feng. This was his duty. What was wrong with him worrying? Shunqing changed her position. Shi Feng, when will you be done? Shi Feng looked at the workload in front of him and said seriously, It's still early. Shunqing jumped down and walked around the room. The decorations on her jingled. Shi Fong held his forehead. Little ancestor, can't you play by yourself for a while? I'm very busy. No, Master asked you to look after me. She wanted to go out. She didn't want to stay here. Master didn't allow her to go out alone, so she could only pester Shi Fong. Shi Fong. Shi Fong shook his head and quickly dealt with a few more urgent things. Then he turned off the screen. 1 hour. I still have things to do. Okay. The little girl jumped onto Shi Fong's back and hugged his neck. Let's go, let's go. We're in a hurry. Shi Fong. Why did he have to take care of the child? Shi Shang finished eating with Feng Ci and was about to go back. As soon as they stepped out, they were blocked by a group of people. They weren't here to block her. Someone was causing trouble and these people were watching. Shi Shang stood inside and listened for a while. A cleaning robot in the shop next door suddenly went out of control and attacked someone. That person demanded compensation from the shop. It had been many years since a robot attacked a person, but Shi Shang heard that there had been a few cases recently. One could be said to be an accident, but if there were a few, then it definitely wasn't. Shi Shang's heart sank. She was the one who built the Blue Planet's defense system herself. She didn't use the mainframe's program. The network was also built separately. Before connecting to the mainframe, there were many layers of defense walls. If the mainframe invaded, how did it come in? Asterisk monthly votes. 2,000 plus chapters. La la la. Double monthly votes. Little cuties. Wave your monthly votes. Love you. Chapter 14:10. When Shi Shang returned, he found that Shunxing and Shi Fong were not there. He could only go to the main control room to check. But he didn't find anything wrong. Everything on Blue Planet was normal. Everything would seem abnormal if it was normal. She destroyed the pirate group controlled by the mainframe. Would the mainframe let it go? Shi Fong came back and saw Shi Shang sitting there in deep thought. He was slightly surprised and walked over with light steps. As soon as he stood still, Shi Shang looked up and ordered in a calm voice, "Investigate all smuggling forces on Blue Planet." Shi Fong thought for a while and thought of something. Is it because of the robots attacking people? Of course, this matter was reported, but he didn't find any clues. Issue a Level 3 martial law and activate the highest defense system. Those who don't have Blue Planet resident identification will be expelled within 3 days. The port will be closed in 10 days. Those who don't return to Blue Planet in time are not allowed to enter again. Destroy all machines of unknown origin. Investigate and monitor any abnormal places. If any abnormal humans are found, execute them on the spot. Is it that serious? Shi Fong was surprised. This was practically a lockdown on Blue Planet. Shi Fong. Shi Shang stood up from his chair. His voice was unprecedentedly serious. Our opponent is Zero. Zero? Galactic mainframe. Shi Fong's eyes widened. He couldn't believe it. What did the family head do to provoke the mainframe? Since Shi Shang said it so seriously, Shi Fong didn't dare to delay and immediately ordered to do it. The Level 3 martial law was the first to be issued. Blue Planet had only issued martial law twice before. The first time was when the Zergs attacked, and the second time was when the Alliance sent troops. But it was only Level 2. When the Zergs attacked, it was only Level 2. Now, Level 3 martial law was issued. Was this more powerful than the Zergs? This wasn't a joke. Even if the Master of Blue Planet was willful and liked to cause trouble, he had never joked about this. Everyone on Blue Planet knew that something big was going to happen. They all started to act according to the instructions on the martial law. The Zhanlong guards, who were bored to death, worked with the garrison troops to investigate all illegal forces on Blue Planet. All abnormal machines were destroyed. Illegal residents were expelled. The port was easy to leave but difficult to enter. The announcement that it was about to be closed was broadcast all day. At first, there were still people cursing, but they found that many people on the Star Web were complaining. It wasn't just the blue planet that was taking action. The planets under the jurisdiction of the 6 great families were also taking action. Only then did everyone realize that something big was about to happen. And the cerulean planet wasn't the only one affected. Ah Shang, don't hurt her. Impossible. Ah Shang, I beg you. I've never begged anyone in my life. I beg you, let her go. Exile her anywhere. Don't hurt her. No. Ah Shang, I'm dying. Shi Shang suddenly sat up on the bed and gasped for breath. Her mind was filled with Xia Chu's last conversation with her. That was the last time she saw Xia Chu. Why would he dream of her at this time? Xiao Shang? Feng Ci propped himself up and looked at her with the help of the moonlight shining in through the window. His face was full of worry. What's wrong? Shi Shang rested his forehead on his hand and tried to calm himself down. Nothing. Did I wake you up? Feng Ci took her hand and placed it on his chest. I felt it. Shi Shang rubbed his chest with her fingertips. He was a little absent-minded. He almost forgot that they had a soul contract. I dreamed of Xia Chu, Shi Shang said softly. I've never dreamed of her since she died. I don't know why today. Feng Ci hugged Shi Shang. No matter what happens, I'll face it with you. I'll protect you. Shi Shang looked out the window. There were flashes of light from time to time. It was a patrol ship. A storm was coming. Fortunately, she wasn't alone. On the 10th day of the martial law, all the ports were closed. No one was allowed to enter or leave. At the same time, all communication with the outside world was cut off. They could only browse the galactic web and couldn't post any comments. Apart from the people on the cerulean planet, no one else could be contacted. Of course, the internal discussions on the cerulean planet could be used. What happened? Everywhere is under martial law. I heard that the people on the capital planet have started to take action too. They can still use the galactic web, but we can't go there. I heard that the Shi family built the galactic web on the cerulean planet alone. I didn't expect it to be true. What's the use of building the galactic web on its own? We can't even contact the outside world now. Shi Shang used Shen Xing, who had turned back into a tablet, to browse through the discussions on Star Web. Her expression was cold and her eyes were unperturbed, as if she was just browsing through a trivial matter. Shi Feng came in with a few Zhan Long guards. Master, all the strange places have been cleaned up. The Zhan Long guards are conducting a 3rd round of inspection. The first round was carried out by the army. The second round was carried out by the Zhan Long guards and the army. The third round was carried out by the Zhan Long guards. Because the Zhan Long guards were the Shi family's trusted aides. Okay. Shi Shang responded casually. Shi Feng waved his hand and dismissed the others. Master Yen has asked to speak with you many times. Are you really not going to answer? Master Yen was the oldest among the families. Plus, the Yen family was good at divination, so everyone respected him. Shi Shang closed the galactic web. I don't have anything to say to them. Then I'll talk to Master Yen directly? Shi Feng didn't persuade him. If Master Yen said he didn't want to see them, then he definitely wouldn't. Shi Shang knocked on the table and looked at Shi Feng's back. When he was about to walk out of the door, Shi Shang stopped him. Put him through. Shi Feng turned around in confusion, but Shi Shang had already lowered his head and looked at the table. How did Master Yen figure it out? Master Yen was no different from before. He stroked his small white beard with a faint smile on his face. He looked like an elder. Master Shi. Shi Shang crossed his legs and looked arrogant. Master Yen, what do you want to talk to me about? Patriarch Yen dismissed the surrounding people and asked with a serious expression, Patriarch Shi, what do you think about the matter regarding Zero? Shi Shang raised his eyebrows and asked without surprise, Caesar told you? Master Yen didn't admit or deny it. We'll deal with it as it comes. Shi Shang's mouth twitched. You've been relying on the mainframe all these years. Now you know how troublesome it is, right? Master Yan's face turned red. But the mainframe was used by the entire galaxy. It was indispensable in people's lives. It was needed for food, clothing, transportation, and identification. We are not family head Shi, we don't have such good talent. Family head Yen sighed. Ever since she took over, everything in the Shi family was changed by her. Although it was still connected to the mainframe, it had its own defense wall. Okay, stop talking about this. What do you want from me? I don't have the time and I don't want to help. Chapter 14:11. I heard from Caesar. His Excellency. He said that the hope is on you. So you're here to persuade him? Caesar was so capable. He could even persuade the old man of the Yen family. Do you trust him that much just because he says so? The head of the Yen family stroked his beard and thought for a moment. To be honest, I believe His Excellency Caesar because I received a warning. Shi Shang understood. The Yen family was good at divination. The head of the Yen family thought that Shi Shang would ask him what his warning was, but Shi Shang just looked at him calmly and didn't seem to have any intention of asking. Cough. The warning I received was troubled times are coming. I didn't know what it meant at first, but now I understand. The troubled times weren't referring to Shi Shang, but to the mainframe, Zero. The last sentence was definitely referring to her. Head of the Shi family, I don't need to tell you how powerful Zero is. You know it in your heart. The head of the Yen family still couldn't digest this news. At first, he really thought that Luan was referring to Shi Shang. He didn't expect that Luan was referring to the mainframe. Shi Shang didn't say anything. The head of the Yen family continued, if what His Excellency Caesar said is true, Zero wants to turn all of us into emotionless machines. Can you imagine that world? Head of the Yen family, let's make a choice. Shi Shang typed on the screen. The head of the Yen family said something quickly. If Zero wants to use my life in exchange for it, it agrees to give up this plan. Head of the Yen family, what will you choose? The head of the Yen family stared at that sentence for a minute without responding. How should he choose? If he didn't choose, then there was nothing to say. He would just let Zero develop. If he chose, then he would have nothing to say. Head of the Shi family, this choice doesn't exist. There's no need to choose. The head of the Yen family was old and had seen more ghosts than humans. He had encountered all kinds of tricky problems. However, every time he faced this little girl, he couldn't say anything. She could always think of the worst and pick out the worst outcome for you to choose. Patriarch Yen, do you choose to exchange or not? Shi Shang waited for a moment, but the head of the Yen family did not respond. She sneered, if this condition is valid, will the head of the Yen family unite everyone and persuade me to die? If I die, I will be able to save the entire galaxy. My name will be passed down through the ages and sung by the world. This is a very worthwhile thing. Patriarch Yen. Shi Shang stretched his face forward and pointed at the tip of his nose. Do I look like a good person who would sacrifice myself for others? This bunch of idiots. He could even log into the system that she used and issue commands on her behalf. However, he could not open the room on the top floor. You can't open it? She had this villa a long time ago, but she did not live in it. She remembered that she did not put anything on the top floor. Feng Ci nodded obediently, but he could not open it. I'll go take a look later. After Feng Ci finished eating, Shi Shang and he went up to the top floor. There were 2 rooms on the top floor. One of the rooms was open, and it was empty. There was a metal door at the end. The door was locked with a password. Shi Shang tried the password that he was used to. Password error. Password error. The same message popped up several times in a row. Shi Shang was confused. What the hell is this? Shi Shang gave Shi Fong a call. Shi Fong was busy, so he quickly asked, Clan head, what are your orders? What's wrong with the room on the top floor of my villa? Why can't I open it with my password? Top floor. Shi Feng was also confused. I don't know. They had cleaned up the villa, but they did not have access to some rooms. How would he know about the room on the top floor? Top floor, Shi Feng seemed to have thought of something. Master, do you still remember Ji Dai? Shi Sheng frowned. Shi Feng continued, at that time, you brought her back and asked us to watch over her. At that time, there were many things waiting to be done on the Blue Planet. The Zhanlong guards temporarily locked her up on the top floor of this villa. If you don't know the password, then it must have something to do with her. Chapter 14:12. Shi Shang continued to press the password. She paused for a few seconds before pressing the last digit. The password is correct. Shi Feng heard it too. His solemn face revealed a hint of surprise. Shi Shang hung up and pushed the door open. There was a strong smell inside the door. It was old and musty and smelled of blood. Shi Shang asked Feng Ci to wait outside. She went in and made sure there was no danger before letting him in. There was nothing in the room, but there were strange marks on the ground. They were made of blood and ink. Feng Ci walked around and said uncertainly, "This seems to be a summoning array." He wasn't from this world. He just felt that it was similar. This is a soul-condensing array. Shi Shang glanced at it and concluded. One of the arrays that the Ji family is good at. The Ji family was good at arrays. The 6 great families were all very powerful. Unfortunately, only the direct descendants and the family heads could learn these things. Others couldn't learn them. As time passed, many direct descendants couldn't learn these things anymore. It wasn't that they were stupid. Many smart direct descendants just couldn't learn them. The inheritance was being lost. The 6 great families were reclusive at first. They didn't want to get involved in these things. But when people started to target them, they realized that they weren't as strong as they thought. They were only good as individuals. One person couldn't protect the entire family. Shi Shang stared at the fading mark. Why did the Ji family's array appear here? Condensing soul? Whose soul was it condensing? Don't move. Shi Shang grabbed Feng Ci. Do you remember the other main character of the story I told you? Yes. Ji Dai, a spy from the Alliance. She was sent to the Xia family when she was young. She fabricated that she was a distant cousin of the Xia family. At that time, after Xia Chu lost her brother and I wasn't around, Ji Dai was Xia Chu's only friend. She had her own things to do. She couldn't be with Xia Chu all the time. She didn't know what happened between Ji Dai and Xia Chu. But when she realized that Ji Dai had a very important place in Xia Chu's heart, Ji Dai was already able to fight side by side with her. She did not like Ji Dai very much. It was not because she was close to Xia Chu, but because she did not like her. Later on, it was proven that she was right. Ji Dai did not have good intentions, but Xia Chu did not listen to her advice and released her, leading to the destruction of the entire Xia family. Sometimes, I think that Xia Chu is really a jinx. She left behind a mess for me to clean up for her. In order to avenge her, I washed the capital star with blood and killed my way into the Alliance. She, on the other hand, died and got everything done. Feng Ci patted her head. What? To comfort you. I'm not sad at all. Shi Shang brushed his hand away. I'm afraid of myself when I'm cold-blooded. When she found out that Xia Chu had died, she was not sad at all. Her mind was filled with the thought of killing that group of shameless people. Later on, when he thought about it, he might have gone mad from anger. She didn't know what sadness was anymore. I like how cold-blooded you are. Feng Ci's tone was gentle. She would smile at him, tell him things she didn't want to say to others, protect him, and take care of his emotions. She gave her cold-bloodedness to others, but left her only warmth to him. Shi Shang glanced at him. Do you have any other path besides liking me? I don't think so. Even if it was a dead end, he did not regret stepping on it. How would he know how stunning the scenery was until he reached the finish line? Shi Shang looked at him suspiciously. Why aren't you jealous of Xia Chu? When the female lead was unreasonable, it did not matter if you were a man or a woman. Feng Xi raised his chin slightly, a smile on his lips. Xia Chu has a very deep mark in your life, but I know that she can't compare to me. Why would he compare himself to someone who could not compare to him? Is it because she's dead? Shi Shang exposed him mercilessly. Feng Xi's face stiffened. Xiao Shang. Shi Shang stared at Feng Xi. What if I told you that she might not be dead? Feng Xi's eyes widened as he questioned him silently. Shi Shang flipped through some memories in his mind. She asked me to let you go, but you know that's impossible. I won't let you go. You have to go down and accompany her. I know. Can you give me another month? After she went back and massacred the capital star, she left with the Shi family and came to the Blue Planet. She begged her to give her a month. During that month, she was fighting with the Alliance. When she came back, she saw Ji Dai's corpse. 1 month was enough for her to do many things. For example, the soul condensing formation. When she returned to the capital star, she did not find Xia Chu's corpse. Everyone said that Xia Chu and the Xia family were killed in the explosion. Not even their bones were left. She searched the entire capital star but could not find her corpse. The people from the Alliance also testified that they saw Xia Chu and the Xia family die in the explosion with their own eyes. However, Ji Dai was the closest person to Xia Chu at that time. She had the chance to hide the corpse. Are you angry? Shi Shang tilted his head and looked at the stunned Feng Xi. If you're angry, I won't investigate. Let's just pretend that we never entered this room and that Xia Chu is dead. Anyway, she had already helped her take revenge. She did not owe Xia Chu anything. Feng Xi smiled. Xiao Shang, it's a lie that I'm not angry. I'm very angry, but I can't be your restraint. Even if I'm angry, I can't stop you. I'll support you in whatever you want to do, but... Shi Shang waited for him to continue. However, Feng Xi did not speak for a long time. He just stared at her. But what? But... Feng Xi leaned closer to Shi Shang and whispered in her ear, Only I can touch you. No one else can. Okay. Feng Xi wanted to play with the mecha. Shi Shang could only change the office location to the mecha practice room. She found Caesar's contact information. Caesar had a head of golden hair and a sly smile on his face. I knew you would contact my Xiao Shang. Cut the crap. Where is Xia Chu? Caesar rubbed the corners of his eyes. Xiao Shang, do you think I would hand Xia Chu over to you so easily? This was his trump card. How could he hand it over so easily? I know what you want to say. Xiao Shang, it's useless even if you destroy the space administration. You won't be able to find her. You have to believe me. I may not be your opponent, but I have the ability to hide someone. Caesar did not wait for Shi Shang to speak. First, tell me how you let Xia Chu live. Even if she knew that Xia Chu could be alive, she would not believe Caesar so easily. This idiot dared to scheme against her. He was full of evil tricks. Every word he said was suspicious. Caesar did not intend to hide anything. When Xia Chu was in trouble, I was on the Imperial planet. Asterisk, please vote. Chapter 1413. He didn't mention what Caesar was doing on the capital star. He only said that he happened to be there and witnessed the massacre. Because there was a mole, the Xia family's defenses were quickly breached. Xia Chu detonated the explosives on her body so that she wouldn't be caught. The internal strife of the 6 dominant families was fierce, but they had one thing in common: they would never submit to outsiders. They would rather die than collude with others. Caesar didn't bring Xia Chu's body out. It was Ji Dai. He just happened to see it. Before Ji Dai could figure out what to do with Xia Chu's body, Shi Shang came back. She knew that Shi Shang wouldn't let her go, so she handed the body to Caesar. How can there be so many coincidences? Do you think I'll believe that? Shi Shang looked at Caesar with a half-smile. You've been plotting against me since then, haven't you? Caesar was speechless. He lowered his head to hide the dark glint in his eyes. When he looked up again, he smiled. Little Shang, how can you think of me as such a sinister person? Sorry, I'm just that sinister. Shi Shang looked indifferent. Can you swear on your face that you didn't start plotting against me since then? Caesar immediately raised his hand and swore. I swear on my face that I didn't start plotting against you since then. He looked sincere. Little Shang, you have to believe me. Xia Chu was just an accident. An accident? You're using an accident to threaten I? Do you think I'm retarded? Caesar, it seems like you've become more and more shameless after all these years. Shi Shang sneered. How did you manage to get the Ji family to help you? The soul condensing array was the Ji family's array. Not many people in the Ji family knew how to use it. The soul condensing array must have come from the Ji family, and it must have been done by the higher-ups. Caesar was silent. It was Ji Zheng. What the F***ck? Ji Zheng, that was Ji Ye's father. Shi Shang thought for a moment. It seemed that Ji Yi had become the head of the Ji family around that time. Not long after, news of Ji Zheng's death spread. The price of using the soul condensing array is very high. Ji Zheng and Ji Dai both paid with their lives. The smirk on Caesar's face faded, and he became serious, as if showing respect for life. At that time, I didn't think that Ji Dai would be able to persuade Ji Zheng. Later, I found out that Ji Zheng owed the Xia family a big favor. Xia Chu was the only member of the Xia family, so he agreed to use the soul concentrating array. Shi Shang quickly went through the matter in his mind. After the Xia family was annihilated, Ji Dai brought the corpses out. She met Caesar and killed her way back because of her. Ji Dai knew that Caesar would not let her go, so she handed Xia Chu over to Caesar. After that, she captured Ji Dai, and Ji Dai begged her to give her a month. At that time, Blue Planet wasn't as heavily defended as it was now. She left the Shi family here and brought the Zhanlong guards to settle the score with the alliance. It was easy for someone to come in. Ji Dai took the opportunity to contact Ji Zheng and used the soul consolidating array to save Xia Chu. No, perhaps she had already made an agreement with Ji Zheng when he caught her. Did Ji Zheng have feelings for the Xia family? Yes, Ji Zheng was like most people when he was young. He was young and frivolous. To put it bluntly, he was hot-headed and acted like a Chunibyu. He wanted to fight the Zergs alone, and the result was self-evident. He almost died in the hands of the Zergs. It was the Xia family who passed by who saved him. But something didn't make sense. If Ji Zheng really wanted to save the Xia family, why did he wait until everyone in the Xia family was dead? Shi Shang rubbed his brows. And Caesar, that idiot, how could he appear at such a perfect time? She definitely didn't trust this man. There were too many suspicious points. Shi Shang looked at Caesar. Xia Chu is still alive? Caesar didn't answer. Instead he asked, Xiao Shang, do you think that 2 lives can't be exchanged for 1 life? Who knew that this was an act that defied the heavens? Ji Dai might be able to understand. She regretted it because she felt guilty and couldn't bear to do it. But what right did Ji Zheng have? Don't talk to her about benevolence and righteousness. Ji Zheng was the head of the family. Even if he wanted to help, he wouldn't exchange his life for it. Caesar knew what Shi Shang was suspecting, but he couldn't say too much now. The more he said, the more mistakes he would make. Just when the two of them were silent, Patriarch Yan sent a call request. Shi Shang tapped his fingertip and half of Patriarch Yan's body appeared in the void. Mr. Caesar is also here? Patriarch Yan seemed a little surprised. Some emotions surged in his eyes, but he quickly suppressed them and disappeared. Caesar nodded slightly and greeted politely. Patriarch Yan. Since you're all here, I'll call Patriarch Ji and Patriarch Jean as well. Patriarch Shi, do you have any objections? Shi Shang glanced at the training ground. The mecha rotated 90 degrees in mid-air and slashed down fiercely. The red body of the mecha was very eye-catching. He should be playing for a while. Shi Shang agreed to Patriarch Yan's request. Soon, Ji Yi and Jin Shi appeared. Obviously, they knew Caesar too. The Zhong family and the Mu family weren't here. They were excluded. After greeting each other, Patriarch Yan, as the oldest person present, spoke first. Patriarch Shi, let's not talk about Zero today. Let's talk about the Xia family. Shi Shang glanced at Caesar. Caesar was drinking his coffee with his head lowered, pretending not to have heard anything. Shi Shang put on a fake smile and said in an indifferent tone, "Sure." She wanted to see what they had to say. The three family heads looked at each other. Patriarch Yan cleared his throat. Back then, the alliance colluded with the royal family and created chaos for all the major families, causing us to be unable to fend for ourselves. They took the opportunity to besiege the Xia family. The Xia family eventually perished because of a traitor. Patriarch Shi, you shouldn't blame this on us, right? That's right. Jin Shi's loud voice echoed. When did I say that I would blame you? Shi Sheng found it funny. All these years, you think that I have a grudge against you. Did I say that? If you don't have a grudge against us, why did you target us all these years? Jin Shi slammed the table. Shi Shang's eyes drifted over. Do I have to kneel down and lick your boots? Who do you think you are? Shi Shang, don't be so harsh with your words. Jin Shi's temper was so bad that he couldn't hold it in. He almost rushed over from the screen to fight with Shi Shang. Shi Shang's expression was calm as she allowed Jin Shi to yell and shout. Then don't listen. I'm not begging you to listen. Patriarch Jin. Patriarch Yan saw that the situation was not right and quickly comforted Patriarch Jin. We're not here to quarrel today. Jin Shi looked into Patriarch Yan's eyes and seemed to have thought of something. He hummed and sat back down angrily. Patriarch Yan comforted Jin Shi and said earnestly, Patriarch Shi, this is the truth. We didn't mean to leave the Xia family in the lurch. She would never let go of this matter if she couldn't talk it out. Oh, I didn't target you all that much. Shi Shang raised his eyebrows and smiled. His bright face was full of malice. I just can't stand you all. Jin Shi was about to throw a tantrum again but was stopped by Patriarch Yan. He could only glare at Shi Shang. This despicable woman. Chapter 14:14. Shi Shang looked into the void. In this world, the strong live and the weak die. I never thought that you didn't save the Xia family. Everyone fell silent. Even Jinxi stared at Shi Shang in shock. Shi Shang sneered. If I really thought that you had something to do with the Xia family's destruction, you would have gone to hell like those who participated in it. But, it's fine if you don't want to save them. Why do you have to find so many excuses and put yourself in a position where you can't do what you want? She didn't say anything back then. Those who were killed were all people who were involved in this matter. These people were the ones who wanted to clear their names and prove that it wasn't that they didn't want to save them. Weren't they courting death? The three of them looked awful. We didn't have a choice. You know that the Alliance has been planning for so long. How could they let us free up to help? Jinxi said stiffly. The Alliance was interested in the Xia family's manufacturing ability. If that ability could be used in the military, the Alliance could unify the 6 galaxies. However, the Xia family didn't want to join the Alliance. After the Alliance failed to persuade them several times, they colluded with some members of the Imperial family who wanted to join the Alliance. Thus, they planned for many years. Patriarch Shi, if you want to distance yourself from us because of this, you're disregarding the greater good. We all feel bad about what happened to the Xia family. We can accept that you're angry at us. But now, if we don't unite, we'll face a situation worse than back then. Is that what you want to see? Shi Shang knocked on the table impatiently. I told you, I'm not angry at you. I just can't stand you. Don't put the blame on yourself. If I was angry at you, I would have killed you long ago. Everyone. They couldn't stand it. Wasn't he just taking out his anger on them? If you want to talk about taking out my anger, I'm only angry at Patriarch G. Ji raised his head and wiped his face. He said in a deep voice, I'm sorry for what happened back then. If I could have listened to her, perhaps. There were no ifs or maybes. Things had already happened. As her fiancé, you didn't even listen to her when she was looking for you. Instead, you went to look for Ji Xian who couldn't find her way. Ji Yi lowered his head dispiritedly, and his face paled inch by inch. Shi Shang's voice was calm, and one could not tell whether he was happy or angry. Since you like Ji Xian, why did you choose to get engaged to Xia Chu? Matchmaker's words. Parents' orders? With your status, what's so hard about not agreeing? Ji Yi, how does it feel to watch the Xia family being destroyed? Do you think it's wrong for me to vent my anger on you? In the end, Shi Shang's tone became a little aggressive. Even Caesar could not stand it anymore. But from another perspective, if your fiancé didn't even listen to you and went to look for someone else for the sake of another woman, and perhaps even missed the last chance to save yourself, would you hate him? Would she resent him? If Ji Yi was not Xia Chu's fiancé, he would not have done so. After all, they were unrelated, and there was no need to save each other. But they were engaged, and the wedding was set, but he did such a thing. Shi Shang felt that he was being very generous by not killing him. Neither Patriarch Yan nor Jin Shi knew about this. They all thought that Shi Shang was angry at Ji Yi for no reason because he was Xia Chu's fiancé. It's my fault. Ji Ye's voice was hoarse. I'm sorry for Xia Chu and the Xia family. Shi Shang looked at him, and his voice was still cold. Do you know why Xia Chu didn't contact you when she had the chance? Even if he had left, Xia Chu could have contacted him, but she did not do so. Ji Yi looked up slightly, and his eyes were a little red. He stared at Shi Shang and clenched his hands. She didn't want to implicate you. Since you left, it meant that you shouldn't have gotten involved, so she didn't contact you. She did everything she could. What about you, Ji Yi? What did you do after the Xia family was destroyed? After the Xia family was destroyed, he announced the annulment of his engagement with Xia Chu. Did he say a word for the Xia family? Even if there was no love, there should be some affection, right? Yes, that was what she thought at the beginning, but she did not think so anymore. But this did not stop her from venting her anger on Ji Yi. I don't know if Xia Chu likes you or not, but after she got engaged with you, she abided by her duty and put herself in the position of your fiancé. She never embarrassed you, and she did everything you asked for. What about you? What did you do? You were intimate with Ji Xian in front of her, and you even asked Xia Chu to make a personal weapon for Ji Xian. You probably don't know how your sister Ji Xian was against Xia Chu behind your back, right? Do you remember one time when she came back covered in injuries? I was the one who hit her. If Xia Chu hadn't stopped me, she would have died that day. Shi Shang paused. Who is Ji Xian? How can an orphan be worthy of Xia Chu's personal weapon? Ji Yi did not seem to know what Shi Shang was talking about. He was a little confused and even a little resistant to Shi Shang's words. The atmosphere was a little tense. Even the hot-tempered Jing Shi calmed down. Patriarch Yan and Caesar looked at each other and communicated with their eyes. I advise you to give up. I will never be on the same side as you. Shi Shang stood up and looked at the faces in the void. He regained his arrogant look. You don't deserve to be on the same side as me. She turned off the communication and all the images disappeared. The training ground was dead silent. A young man covered in light came from afar and hugged her gently. Shi Shang hugged him back and greedily rubbed against his warmth. It was enough for her to have him by her side. Shi Shang spoke after a long while. I don't get it. She's clearly someone who kills without batting an eyelid, so why is she so tolerant and soft-hearted towards certain people? Ji Dai was like this, Ji Yi was like this, and she was even willing to let Ji Xian go. Feng Xi stroked her back. Just like how you soft-hearted towards me, she should like them. It's different. If it were her, Ji Dai and Ji Yi would definitely die. She would not allow betrayal. If Feng Ci betrayed her one day, she would not be soft-hearted. Even if she had to die, she would drag him down with her. Xiao Shang, everyone has their own beliefs. Feng Ci lowered his head and his lips landed on the top of her head. Before I met you, I didn't care about anything. It didn't matter even if it was destroyed. But now that you are my faith, I will consider whether or not doing this will hurt you, whether or not it will make you angry. What strange things have you been watching recently? This mouth full of sweet nothings was King enough. Belief in love. Shi Shang's mouth twitched. Don't read such books. Some things don't need to be said. Just do it. Feng Ci was puzzled. Then, he picked up Shi Shang. Then do it now? Shi Shang. Get lost. ## looking for Hangbell flavored tickets ## vote for the monthly votes. #. Chapter 14-15. At the Space Administration. Caesar rubbed his eyebrows. Mu Bai sat opposite him like an elegant prince, browsing the news on the star web. Director, what should we do now? Gina ignored Mu Bai. She hasn't contacted us yet. Let's wait. Caesar sighed. After so many years, he couldn't figure out how much this person's temperament had changed. Mr. Caesar, are you sure you want to wait? Mu Bai suddenly interrupted. Caesar looked at him, confused. Mu Bai zoomed in on the screen. It was a video taken from a high altitude. In the middle of the video, a group of people in military uniforms escorted two expressionless men to the podium. They first comforted the people step by step, then let the people inspect them. These two men are being controlled. Gina looked at the two men and immediately concluded. The Shi Shang had killed the pirates, which must have angered the mastermind. The mastermind had started to act now. It wasn't a secret. It was just doing it openly. The mastermind just removed the emotions, and nothing else was affected. It was said that removing emotions would increase one's IQ. Therefore, the people in the video only looked more serious, but most people in high positions were like this. No one doubted them at all. Mu Bai played a few more videos, and they were all similar scenes. Zero has started to act, but the weapon you prepared is still out of control. Mr. Caesar, you're going to lose. Mu Bai sounded like he was gloating. Gina stared at him angrily. Mr. Mu, you're living under someone else's roof. What's the point of saying this? The latter smiled and sipped her coffee. She had the elegant temperament of a noble. I have my trump card. You may have to beg me in the future. Miss Gina, don't be too harsh with your words. Gina stomped her feet. This bastard, he's always like this. Caesar stopped Gina. Mr. Mu, shouldn't you take out your trump card? That's impossible. This is my life-saving weapon. How can I take it out so easily? Caesar resisted the urge to strangle Virus Bai and said in a very official tone, Mr. Mu, when do you think you can take it out? Mu Bai smiled at him. When I have to. Isn't it the last resort now? Mu Bai, do you believe that I will chase you out? Mu Bai looked at her with a smile. Miss Gina, girls shouldn't be so rude. You're so pretty, but you don't look good with that expression on your face. He even thoughtfully gave her a mirror. Gina looked at the beautiful woman in the mirror. Her face was ferocious, like an enraged leopard that was about to tear its prey apart. She was so angry that she snatched the mirror and turned it upside down on the metal table next to her. How infuriating! Mu Bai acted as if nothing had happened and continued to drink his coffee elegantly. He always remembered that he was an elegant gentleman, so he had to maintain a smile and not lower himself to a woman's level. Caesar was afraid that they would fight, so he left with Gina. Gina complained, Director, why did we keep him here? He's a member of Zero. What if he's a spy? Most importantly, he didn't look like he was living under someone else's roof at all. It was as if he was here on vacation. Mubai must have a trump card, Caesar said calmly. Caesar replied calmly, You saw him looking for Shi Shang before. Although he said he wanted to surrender, he wasn't afraid or uneasy at all. We can analyze it from 2 points. First, he's a spy, just like you said. Second, he has a trump card that can save his life. He's not afraid of anything. Gina was puzzled. If it's the second point, why did he stay here? If he had a trump card to save his life, he could go anywhere, right? He wants to go to Shi Shang, but Shi Shang doesn't want him. And we, Caesar pointed at himself and Gina, are the people closest to the storm. Gina rolled her eyes and the corner of her mouth twitched. Director, do you mean that he's here to watch the show? Caesar flipped his blonde hair and smiled. I'm not sure. Although Mubai isn't as difficult to deal with as Shi Shang, he's not easy to deal with either. You should pay more attention to him. Could a person who was chosen by the mainframe to deal with Shi Shang really be a retard? Gina frowned and complained in her heart. Everything would be fine if they kicked him out. Why did they have to keep him to make trouble for them? By the way, Director, have you figured out the artificial intelligence in Shi Shang's hands? Caesar shook his head. You said it's called Shen Xing? That's what Shi Shang called it. Flying in the air like walking on solid ground. Sleeping in the void like a virgin bed. Clouds and mist don't disturb one's sight. Thunder don't disturb one's hearing. Beauty and evil don't slip into one's heart. And valleys don't interfere with one's steps. Her name is a bit interesting. Caesar curled the corner of his mouth. Gina was confused. The name was a bit strange. The word God was rarely used in the interstellar era, especially in the Nether Galaxy. They thought it was disrespectful to the ancient times. But Shi Shang named it Shan Xing. The names of the people around her are meaningful, Caesar continued. The 10 directions generally refers to heaven, earth, east, west, south, north, life gate, death position, past, and future. Shi Feng is the executive officer of the Zhanlong Guards. If she doesn't deal with it, Shi Feng will deal with it. Then why did she use such a name? Didn't she think it was unlucky to use such a name? I heard that her name was given by the previous head of the Shi family. She's not a direct descendant. Why did the head of the family name her? Gina was surprised. It's a big deal, Caesar said with an unfathomable expression. Caesar had an unfathomable expression. I haven't even figured it out yet. Only Shi Shang herself knows what happened in the Shi family. Gina was speechless. You don't even know it yourself. What do you mean it's a big deal? Caesar probably received the disdain from his subordinates, so he had to save face. I don't know why she got such a name, but I know why she didn't change it. Why? Gina was really interested. They wanted her to be lowly and descend into the dust, but she insisted on making this name resound throughout the universe and intimidate the world. Do you think the person who gave her this name would be pissed to death? Gina was speechless. The person who gave her this name had already become a pile of bones. Caesar obviously remembered it and changed his words. Yes, she should be pissed to death. Note frowny face taking the air is like walking on solid ground. Sleeping in the void is like a virgin bed. Clouds and mist don't disturb one's sight. Thunder doesn't disturb one's hearing. Beauty and evil don't slip into one's heart. Valleys don't hinder one's steps. It's from Lai Zi, the Yellow Emperor. The spirit is detached from the body and moves freely. Shi Feng is a Buddhist term. Buddhism refers to 10 directions, namely heaven, earth, east, west, south, north, life gate, death position, past, and future. Chapter 14-16. Shi Shang also received the news, and the video kept replaying. Shi Feng and Shen Xing stood side by side. The former looked serious, while the latter looked desperate. Her bun face was almost scrunched up. She also wanted to be pampered and arrogant. Master used to pamper her, but now she had fallen out of favor. Master even pampered Feng Ci. So sad. So sad. The more Xinqing thought about it, the more wronged she felt. She suddenly hugged Shi Feng's leg and cried, "Shi Feng, where did this little girl get cramps again?" Shi Shang asked Feng Ci to finish the rest and came out. "Xinqing, why are you crying?" Xinqing stopped crying and let go of Shi Feng. "Master, I might have short-circuited." Shi Shang, Shi Feng. Feng Ci came out with a bowl and sat down with Shi Shang. Shi Shang could only go to the side and bring a chair over. "Eat seriously. Why are you looking at me? You look good." Shi Shang glared at him and opened the latest news. "Tell me about the current situation." "Yes." Shi Feng instinctively moved away from Shi Shang. Feng Ci was very satisfied with Shi Feng's behavior, but Xinqing was a little afraid of him and was staring at him. In the end, Feng Ci turned his head away first. He didn't want to argue with an artificial intelligence. Xinqing swayed her princess dress and moved to Feng Ci's side. She carefully reached out and tugged at his sleeve. Feng Ci frowned at her and pulled back his sleeve. Probably because Feng Ci didn't get angry, Xinqing tugged again and smiled. "Brother Feng, let's go out and play." Feng Ci pulled back his sleeve and refused coldly. "No." Xinqing continued to tug, her big eyes begging. "Go, Brother Feng. They'll talk for a long time. It's very boring." Feng Ci moved to Shi Shang and said in a heavier tone, "No." He wanted to stay with her. Shi Shang put his hand on his waist and looked away from Shi Feng. He glanced at Xinqing. "Xinqing, don't bother him." Xinqing's face fell. She knew how to act cute too. "I want to take Brother Feng out to play." "He doesn't want to go." "Don't mess around. If you mess around again, I'll change back." As soon as he heard that he was going to change back, Xinqing didn't dare to say anything. He ran back to Shi Feng's side and reached out to hold his thigh, quietly becoming a leg accessory. "Shi Feng, I hate Feng Ci. I hate Feng Ci. So hateful, so hateful." This was the little lowly's resentment that Shi Feng felt next. When he was reporting, he was almost distracted by her. Feng Ci ate while listening to Shi Feng's report. His expression was indifferent, but when Shi Shang glanced at him from the corner of his eyes, he would immediately put on an obedient expression, as if he was saying, "I will eat seriously." Shi Feng sighed at the speed at which Feng Ci changed his expression. He really didn't know what the clan head liked about him. Changing his expression? The Mu clan and the Zong clan should be working together now. They've been in close contact recently. The other three families had always been close to each other, and recently, they had become even closer. The space administration is very quiet. Caesar has some ability to remove all the people I sent there. As for the situation inside, I can't find out for the time being. Shi Feng tried his best to ignore the pendant on his leg and Feng Ci's murderous aura from time to time. He had never felt that reporting work was so tiring. What about the royal family? The royal family is as usual. They're not doing anything. Shi Feng had more or less understood the situation and knew what they were facing now. Zero should be controlling a lot of high-ranking officials, but it's hard to say if the royal family members are under its control. Zero started its operation from the top. The people below all listened to the orders of the higher-ups. It used the inspection to easily turn a group of people to its side. The most frightening thing was that they didn't know who Zero's people were. They only knew that the people under Zero's control had no emotions and were expressionless. However, which of the higher-ups didn't look expressionless? Shi Shang's fingertips gently rubbed Feng Ci's waist. She was obviously thinking about something and didn't notice that Feng Ci's expression was a bit off. The temperature in the room was just right. He was only wearing a thin shirt, so the warmth of her hands easily seeped through the fabric and slowly spread from his waist. His waist was more sensitive. Feng Ci held a spoon and almost buried his face in the bowl. After a while, Shi Shang stopped. "Send a video out and tell everyone about this." Shi Feng was shocked. "Master, Won't this cause chaos? Shi Shang's expression was arrogant. I'm afraid it won't. Chaos would be good. No matter what era it was, the people in power would always keep secrets until the end. They would always use the excuse of not causing chaos. Hadn't they heard of the saying, "There's strength in numbers"? Master, shouldn't you remind them of the solution? Shi Feng asked tentatively. There was a solution to this problem, and it was very simple. Don't go on Galactic. Don't touch anything that requires Galactic. Don't participate in the inspection. It's easier said than done. Galactic is already a part of them. You're telling them not to use it? Shi Sheng sneered. Without Galactic, even making a phone call would be difficult. Shi Sheng didn't say whether to remind them or not. It was up to him to decide. In the end, Shi Feng still decided not to say anything. Those people outside didn't care about the truth. If they thought this was the case, then this was the case. If he reminded them, things might not end well for them. Shi Feng was about to leave when Shi Sheng suddenly asked, "Is there any news about the matter I asked you to investigate?" Master, it's been so many years. It's not easy to investigate. There's no news at the moment. Shi Feng paused. If Miss Xia Chu is really still alive, she definitely wouldn't use her identity. It's very difficult to investigate. Shi Sheng nodded and gestured for him to leave. Shi Feng picked Shen Xing up from his lap and left the room. After Shi Feng left, Feng Xi immediately stood up and rushed into the room with a burning passion. Shi Sheng's hands were empty. He looked at Feng Xi's panicked back in confusion. What's going on? Shi Sheng followed Feng Xi in. Feng Xi slammed the toilet door with a bang. Shi Sheng, F***CK. What are you doing? Shi Sheng knocked on the door. I didn't provoke you just now, right? Why are you throwing a tantrum? No one answered him. If you don't open the door, I'll come in myself. The toilet door opened with a click. Feng Xi looked at him with his wet face and blushed face. He said softly, "It's nothing. I just need to go to the toilet." Shi Sheng looked at him suspiciously. Need to go to the toilet? Feng Xi stepped out. Yes. Shi Sheng caught up with him. Why are you blushing? It's hot. The temperature is just right. Where is it hot? It's just hot. Feng Xi was a little annoyed. Don't ask anything else. Shi Sheng raised his eyebrows. I can't even ask now? Feng Xi gritted his teeth and raised his voice slightly. I have a reaction. Are you satisfied? After shouting, he curled up on the bed and pulled a blanket over his head, covering himself tightly. Shi Sheng, if you have a reaction, then you have a reaction. What's there to be shy about? It's quite cute to be shy. Chapter 14-17. I'm not laughing at you. Come out first. Shi Sheng tugged at his blanket. No. Feng Xi pulled the blanket and curled himself into a ball. He didn't want to see her now. Be good, come out first. Shi Sheng's voice rang in his ear. Don't you feel uncomfortable in there? Uncomfortable. He felt very uncomfortable. He felt so uncomfortable that he wanted to die. He wanted to hug her. After a long silence, Feng Xi opened the blanket slightly. She was sitting beside him, within his reach. Feng Xi reached out his hand. His fingertips were trembling, and his voice was trembling. Xiao Shang, I feel uncomfortable. Shi Shang's expression changed slightly. She lifted the blanket. Feng Xi's face had lost all color. It was frighteningly pale, and his forehead was covered in cold sweat. Shi Shang let him lie on his lap and asked anxiously, Where do you feel uncomfortable? Wasn't he fine just now? Feng Xi just hugged her and didn't say anything, but his face was getting paler. Shi Shang hurriedly checked him, but his body was normal. There was nothing wrong with him. Feng Xi, where do you feel uncomfortable? Tell me. Feng Xi, Can you talk? Shi Shang pressed the screen beside her and said anxiously, Shi Fong, get the doctor here. Hurry. Shi Fong was about to release the video when he suddenly received Shi Shang's order. Her tone was not right. Shi Fong didn't dare to delay and hurriedly called the doctor over. He and the doctor arrived at the same time. When he saw the young man curled up in Shi Shang's arms, his heart skipped a beat. He was fine when he left. Feng Ci didn't let go of Shi Shang, so she could only carry Feng Ci for the doctor to check. Young master's body is very healthy. There's nothing wrong. Bull*****, how can he be healthy like this? Shi Shang was furious. Although she knew it was normal, she couldn't control her anger. The doctor was so angry that he didn't even dare to breathe. After Shi Shang calmed down, he continued, Young master's body is indeed very healthy. The equipment didn't detect anything wrong. Master, please calm down. Shi Fong hurriedly comforted Shi Shang and turned to the doctor. Go and inform the other doctors to come over. The doctor nodded, but all the doctors in the Shi family came to the same conclusion. It was normal. There was nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with him. If there was nothing wrong with him, why would he be like this? The row of doctors kept quiet out of fear as they looked at the young girl sitting on the bed. The young girl's face was gloomy and her eyes seemed to be burning with anger. However, if one looked closely, they could not see anything. However, they could clearly feel that terrifying aura. The surrounding temperature seemed to have dropped to the freezing point. Shi Shang's finger trembled. He suddenly raised it and pointed at the door. Get out, all of you. Shi Fong waved his hand. The doctors all breathed a sigh of relief and quickly ran out of the door. It was so scary. He had never seen the Patriarch lose control like this before. Patriarch, why don't we invite the Jin family over to take a look? Shi Fong waited for everyone to leave before carefully making a suggestion. The Jin family was skilled in medicine. Naturally, this medical expertise didn't refer to ordinary medical expertise. Instead, it was specialized in dealing with difficult and complicated diseases. For example, the common genetic breakdown disease that couldn't be treated in the galaxy. Although they couldn't completely cure it, they could stabilize it. Shi Shang reached out and brushed Feng Ci's sweat-soaked hair away, revealing his beautiful and exquisite eyes. Perhaps it was because he was in pain, but his eyebrows were knitted together. Shi Shang's gaze grew colder. His voice was cold. You can leave first. Shi Fong hesitated but didn't say anything in the end. He left the room. Shenxing stood on her tiptoes to look inside. Shi Fong grabbed her by the collar and walked out. What's wrong with Feng Ci? Shenxing didn't care that she was being carried. She hugged Shi Fong's hand and asked. Shi Fong put Shenxing on a chair in the corridor. I don't know. The doctor said there's no problem, but he looks like he's in pain. I've never seen the Patriarch like this. Nothing will happen, right? Shenxing became nervous. Master contacted Caesar. Shi Fong looked at Shenxing. There seemed to be a transparent screen in front of Shenxing. She was quickly tapping on something. After a moment, she lowered her head in disappointment. Master blocked me. I can't see what they're saying. She could also bypass Master's block, but the consequences of doing so were very serious. She didn't dare. Shi Fong patted her head. His gaze fell on the closed door in the distance. It was best if nothing happened. Caesar wasn't surprised that Shi Shang looked for him. It could even be said that he was waiting for her. Little Shang, space repulsion. How did you solve it before? Caesar narrowed his eyes and chuckled. There was a hint of roguishness between his brows. Little Shang, you're so smart. I'll be very scared. Save it for the future. Shi Shang's voice was cold. Caesar pretended not to hear and said calmly, I only have one condition. If you agree, I'll tell you how to suppress space repulsion and Xia Chu's whereabouts. Isn't it worth it? Shi Shang's eyes flashed. He didn't say anything. Caesar continued, you should have noticed that Feng Ci is different from other people. You've been to other worlds and know what space repulsion feels like. But Feng Xi's current feeling is 10 times, 100 times. People who weren't from this space would be repulsed by the laws of space. It was the same principle as her being hunted down by the heavenly Tao in the virtual world. When she went to other spaces, she would feel the same. But as long as she didn't do anything that could change history, there wouldn't be too much repulsion. She didn't know that Feng Xi's repulsion would be so serious. And there were no signs at all. He didn't even do anything. The Shi family didn't know how to suppress space repulsion. In the eyes of the Shi family, this was the law of nature. It was irreversible and they had to abide by it. Feng Xi will experience it once a month. Don't make a fuss about it. Caesar was still explaining calmly. Just bear with it. It's okay if you don't agree to my condition. Shi Shang. This behavior is exactly the same as butt face. F*CK, as expected, like system, like master. Where's I's sword? The young man's painful moans were like sharp thorns that stabbed into her heart. It was so painful that she couldn't breathe. Shi Shang gripped Feng Xi's hand tightly and said through gritted teeth, "What condition? Tell me." Caesar suddenly sat up straight and restrained the playful expression on his face. Complete the mainframe's test. Shi Shang sneered. You might as well say that it'll be faster if I destroy the mainframe. It's already acting now. It's obviously not going to acknowledge your stupid agreement. Are you kidding me? This is something I need to worry about. You just need to agree to it. Caesar's tone was serious. Shi Shang's eyes flickered. This condition, is it just me or Feng Xi? Caesar wanted to roll his eyes, but he thought that it would be unsightly and held back. Of course it's you and Feng Xi. How can you complete the test alone? Even if I complete your so-called test, how do you know that the mainframe will abide by the agreement? Now that the mainframe had gone back on its word and wanted to kill her, who knew if it would continue to go back on its word? This condition itself was unfair. Caesar's tone was still calm. This isn't something you should be concerned about. Little Shang, what happens in this world has nothing to do with you. You just want Xia Chu and Feng Xi, right? Chapter 14:18. For a moment, Feng Xi thought that he was hallucinating. What did you say? Feng Xi pushed the person on top of him away and stared at her anxiously. Shi Shang tilted his head slightly. Didn't you hear me? I heard you. Feng Xi's face suddenly turned red. Did I hear you wrong? He thought that he would never hear those 3 words from her. No. Feng Xi took a deep breath, but he couldn't exhale for a long time. Shi Shang was afraid that he would suffocate, so he quickly opened his mouth to let him breathe. Are you stupid? You can't even breathe. Feng Xi panted and smiled helplessly. His smile was pure and beautiful. He was an angel that had fallen into the dust, bringing a ray of light to her dark kingdom. Shi Shang's eyes darkened. He pulled the blanket over their heads. Xiao Shang, it hurts. Why are you like a girl? It really hurts. Be gentler. Caesar and his men had arrived a long time ago, but even after waiting from morning until noon, the person he was waiting for didn't appear. Only when night fell did Shi Shang arrive with Feng Xi. Feng Xi was a little dazed, and the smile on his face was a little silly. It was Caesar's first time seeing Feng Xi, so, how should he describe it? He was as clean as a piece of white paper. He was covered in light and seemed like he could save everyone at any time. What did she do to him? Before Caesar could finish admiring Feng Xi's appearance, he suddenly looked over. At that moment, what saving everyone and being as clean as a piece of white paper? It was all fake. This was still the Feng Xi he was familiar with. The Feng Xi who could destroy the world at any time. Caesar quickly averted his gaze and calmly looked at Shi Shang, who was smiling coldly at him. Xiao Shang, we need a bigger venue. Shi Shang waved his hand. Suddenly, a group of Zhanlong guards appeared in the empty room. Without saying a word, they went forward and captured them. Xiao Sheng. Caesar glared. She wouldn't go back on her words. Did her personality change after all these years? Before we start, let's play something fun. Shi Shang held Feng Ci and walked out. Bring him in. Caesar heaved a sigh of relief. She didn't want his life. He had schemed against her. Even if she couldn't kill him now, she would definitely teach him a lesson. Caesar calmed down. At worst, it was just some physical pain. He could endure it. But when Caesar really went in, he realized that it wasn't just physical pain, it was simply life-threatening. Little Shang, you don't have to go this far, do you? Shi Shang leaned against the railing as she watched the flashes of lightning below. Her lips hooked in a cold smile. You think my appearance fee is that cheap? Before Caesar could defend himself, Shi Shang waved his hand. Throw him out. Caesar, was there a need to be so ruthless? Caesar grabbed the railing and said, Shang, we can talk this out. Don't be so violent. Shi Shang took out his iron sword and chopped at his fingers on the railing without hesitation. Caesar, if you don't let go, your hand will be gone. Attacking without a word, what kind of person is this? Caesar was thrown down. The lightning flashed and directly pierced through his body. His golden hair instantly stood up. He looked completely unconventional. Even his face couldn't save his image. This was a training room. Naturally, no one would die. But Caesar had never experienced this kind of training before. He couldn't grasp the pattern and could only endure it with his own body. He knew that Shi Shang wouldn't kill him, but this was 2F** king unbearable. Can you imagine the feeling of being struck by lightning? All the bones in his body felt like they were being shattered, then reassembled, then shattered again, over and over again. Why did she have such a thing here? It was 2F** king scary. Perverted. When Caesar was about to die from the lightning strikes, the Zhanlong guards turned off the lightning system in the training ground and dragged him out. They dragged him out, one leg at a time, upside down. Master said that there was no need to be polite to him. It was fine as long as he didn't die. Caesar scratched the ground. He had to endure it. Master, now you know how I feel, right? Buttface, who had been quiet for hundreds of years, finally showed his face. In this real world, he didn't dare to show his face. This person wanted to tear him apart. Caesar trembled as he went to wash up. He didn't have the energy to argue with Shi Shang. He asked for an empty room from Shi Shang and went in with his men to prepare. The other members of the space administration were also calm. Although they couldn't bear to see Caesar being tortured like this, no one stood up for him. Caesar must have told them before he came. It was fine if they didn't speak. Once they spoke, they would have to go through thick and thin with him. Caesar sat on a chair and explained to Shi Shang what he was going to do next. You're going to the real world, not the virtual world. I don't need to tell you what restrictions there are in the real world, right? You have to control your primitive force. Actually, there are loopholes. If you really want to do it, you have to be careful. Don't fail the mission. I can't care about anything else now. Shi Shang. How casual. We're sending you to the real world as souls. You'll still be using other people's bodies. The rejection of the soul is not as serious as the original body. However, you can only inherit the memories of the original body. There will be no more plot reminders. In exchange for using the original body, you have to fulfill a wish left behind by the original body. This is similar to the previous one. The soul was still using the body of the original body. The law of space recognized that person. Of course, if he went too far, the law of space would definitely detect it. Caesar paused and looked at Shi Shang. In the real world, there may be more than one protagonist. There are also people from other worlds. They also have great luck. You can't kill them casually. You have to control your primitive force. The 3,000 worlds were interconnected. Sometimes, accidents would cause people to appear in different worlds. In some worlds, the The law of space was operating because it needed someone to break the rules to save the world that was about to collapse. Therefore, people from other worlds would appear. What's my mission? Your mission is very simple. Other than fulfilling the original body's wish, you have to find Feng Ci. This time, there won't be any reminders or general directions. He could be anyone. You have to find him and awaken his memories. Shi Shang narrowed his eyes. What do you mean? Caesar coughed and forced himself to say, Feng Ci won't have any memories. If he had memories, how could he take the test? Caesar looked at Shi Shang nervously. He was afraid that she would pull out her sword and explode. I'm not doing this anymore. There's something I don't understand. Caesar gestured for Shi Shang to speak. It's easier and faster for me to help you destroy the mainframe. Why do you have to use such a troublesome method? Caesar's expression darkened. You know that the mainframe is spread throughout the 6 major galaxies. If it goes out of control, all the galaxies will be paralyzed and this world will suffer heavy losses. If it's serious, it might collapse. If it's light, technology will regress by hundreds or even thousands of years. No one used paper to record information. If the mainframe really collapsed, all those civilizations and research results would disappear. #hashtag today, please give me a bunch of fancy votes #hashtag monthly votes #. Chapter 1419. Shi Shang snorted coldly and didn't say anything else. Caesar then continued to tell Shi Shang all the important things to take note of. Feng Ci listened quietly. She agreed to this because of him, so he couldn't refute her. He could always be with her in this world, but every time he was in pain, he would make her suffer. He didn't want to see her suffer because of him. She also agreed, because she had her own considerations. The mainframe will definitely set up all kinds of obstacles to break you up. What you need to do is to trust each other and believe in your own thoughts. Caesar gave up on Feng Ci. Forget it. He won't remember anything. It's useless to tell him. Just remember it. Shi Shang looked at Feng Ci and smiled. Of course I believe in my man. She said before that a ship that could be broken up wasn't true love. I have one last thing to remind you. The screen in front of Caesar suddenly flashed. A row of words appeared on the black screen. You've reminded me enough. Caesar's expression changed. He swallowed the rest of his words and gave Shi Shang a look that said, You have to hold on. Shi Shang, is it? Shi Shang narrowed his eyes and said in an unfriendly tone, 0, long time no see. You know me? Oh, you're forgetful. Shi Shang raised his eyebrows but didn't continue. Instead, he changed his tone. I forgot that you're not human. Caesar. She was already unhappy with the alliance, and now she was even going to attack the mainframe? Great Aunt, please stop for a moment. It wasn't easy for him to get the mainframe to agree to this. If the mainframe went back on his word, there would be no turning back. 0 was silent for a while before a row of words appeared on the screen. Good luck. Then the screen disappeared. Shi Shang smiled sinisterly. Caesar had a feeling that she was up to something, but she had already agreed. What else could she be up to? Caesar calmed himself down. We can start after I'm done with the arrangements. You can prepare the things you need. Caesar was indirectly reminding Shi Shang to stock up some goods in her space. The iron sword was bound to her soul, so she could definitely take it with her. What they were testing was not a bare-handed counterattack, so Caesar naturally hoped that she would have as many trump cards as possible. That way, her chances of passing the test would be higher. Shi Shang brought Feng Ci back to the Shi family's main residence. Because of the martial law, Yu Chong couldn't leave the Blue Planet and had been living in the main house. When Shi Shang and Feng Ci returned, Yu Chong hurried downstairs. Xiao Sheng. Aunt Yu, I know what you want to say, but this is a special time. Aunt Yu, please stay here first. The capital star is too far away from the Blue Planet. If anything happens to you, I won't be able to get there in time. You don't want others to use you to threaten me, do you? Yu Chong was slightly taken aback. Sigh, I didn't think it through. Although only a few people knew about their relationship, once it was discovered, they would definitely be used by others. When I'm done, I'll send you back to the capital star. Yu Chong expressed her understanding. You do what you need to do. Auntie, you won't cause trouble for you. Will you stay for dinner today? Yes. Shi Shang nodded. Yu Chong nodded repeatedly. Then I'll go prepare. Last time, the incident happened so suddenly that I didn't even get to drink your wine. This time, I'll make up for it. Shi Shang watched Yu Chong leave and brought Feng Ci to the ancestral hall behind the main residence. The elders from before were already waiting in the ancestral hall. Their eyes were lowered, and no one could tell what kind of expression they were wearing. Shi Shang stood in front of them. Sorry to trouble you, elders. The elders looked up at the same time. There was only one expression on their faces. Shock. She actually knew how to use honorifics? Was it going to rain red? Everyone thought of the recent rumors. She doted on this young Master Feng Ci to the skies. They heard that she even got angry because of him. This is our duty. One of the elders spoke first. Young Master Feng Ci, please come in. Feng Ci grabbed Shi Shang's hand and didn't move. Shi Shang comforted him. It's okay. Go in with them. If they dare to touch you, I'll make them pay 100-fold. The elders. Who would dare to touch him? You? Shi Shang seemed to know what he was going to say. I can't go in. I'll wait for you outside. Don't get angry, okay? Feng Ci didn't let go. It was clear that if Shi Shang didn't go in, he wouldn't go in. The elders felt awkward. Shi Shang pulled Feng Ci to the side and explained in a low voice, Be good. They won't do anything to you. You just have to do as they say. It'll be done very quickly. Feng Ci pursed his lips and didn't say anything. He didn't agree or refuse. He didn't say anything at all. Shi Shang was helpless. No matter how much he tried to coax him, Feng Ci would become arrogant because he was pampered to the extreme. He just wasn't willing. Let's go, little ancestor. Your father, really owe you something. Only then did Feng Ci relax. When the elders saw that Shi Shang wanted to go in with Feng Ci, their eyes widened. They wanted to stop them but didn't dare. In the end, only one elder said carefully, Master, this is against the rules. I'm the rules. The elders didn't dare to say anything. They silently apologized in their hearts and followed Shi Shang into the ancestral hall. The ancestral hall was still empty. Shi Shang walked straight to the innermost wall. After feeling around for a while, he opened a door. There was only a sacrificial altar in the room, similar to the one used for the last ceremony of a wedding. The elders filed in from outside. Feng Ci saw that there was a sandalwood box in their hands. I'll do it myself. You guys can leave first. I'll call you when I'm done. Shi Shang took the sandalwood box and chased out the elders who wanted to say something. Since they were already in, they didn't care about the rules. Shi Shang had Feng Ci lie on the altar. Where do you want it tattooed? Feng Ci looked at him in confusion. What? The clan emblem. Shi Shang opened the sandalwood box. Everyone who enters the Shi family has to have it tattooed. It's supposed to be done by the respected elders in the family to show respect to the family. Feng Ci didn't even listen to the rest. Is it okay on my hand? It's okay, but I want to tattoo it on your waist. Shi Shang looked at him with a smile. Waist. Feng Ci remembered that Shi Shang had tattooed him in another world, but his waist was very sensitive. He wanted a tattoo on it. Feng Ci struggled for a while and slowly lifted the hem of his shirt. The cold air brushed past his skin, and he immediately had goosebumps. The weather was getting colder. Shi Shang kissed Feng Ci's face. Call me if it hurts. Just as Shi Shang touched his waist, Feng Ci's body trembled. His face immediately flushed red. He bit his lip and looked down at his waist. A fair hand was holding his waist. The owner of the hand was lowering her head to take something out of the sandalwood box. Asterisk very good, the whole of meeting wine in the childhood plum has been filled, that's awesome. Should I fill it up or not? Don't ask me, I don't know either. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.